Hi guys, I'm back. Thank you so much for tuning in to the first video. I'm back. I've gotten my package and also got a coffee. I needed one. Yeah, I'm hoping that the guys who are watching would pop in and continue, even though I know these are long, and I'll kind of try to make them short because I was just on the first point, where I stopped off. It was like 1 hour and 46 minutes. But the first point, if you're taking notes, and I do pray that even though it is long, that you'll find time and all things will just fall into place for you to be able to watch this. And I know I'm a woman of many words, and sometimes it can get tough to listen to. So you can watch the segments that you're able to watch, or watch, in parts, and just keep coming back whenever you feel sent to. Because sometimes God will send you, especially if you're fighting the same things that I've been fighting. Um, for those we haven't met, I'm talking about the altars that we were fighting, have been for about 2 months now. I was telling my story in the way I understood it, and uh, in this season, God revealed a lot more, and He had revealed in other seasons. Every time that God would allow us to come into a different season, He would reveal what had been happening in the season, in the previous season, yeah, or in the season before that time, yeah. And to just give you a little bit of background, um, we stayed about 7 years in a come we stay marriage before my husband relocated to for studies abroad, yeah. Before that, like 7 years prior, I we had, or maybe 9 years prior, we had gotten a baby out of wedlock. um I was a Miss Goody Two Shoes, and uh ca- before meeting him, I was beginning to open my mind to the possibilities that I live. I think I'm too holy. I think I'm too nice. So I will open my mind towards certain things. And looking back, I saw God had protected me from getting into the scene of into sexual immorality. And that is not even to quote, into sexual immorality. He had protected me by the people he surrounded me with. And then at one point, I just, got into thinking that I just saw like some friends, actually were girlfriends that I had always wanted to belong with, come around me. They were doing those things, yeah. And I felt like so silly because I had finished high school. I was working, and I thought, this everybody is doing it, why shouldn't I? Okay, so it's like my boundaries had been broken and compromised even before I met this guy. And since I was older now, I was introduced to an older guy, and I felt like it would be so kiddish for me to talk about uh not having sex. So sexual immorality was introduced to me. uh like, I used to have a certain mindset before I got into it, and then I was like, I have to put my guards down. What am I thinking? Why am I thinking that, I'm so special? And this is not to say that I carry the guilt, but I have like more understanding now, and I see the pattern, and the things that led to that. And I'm telling you, when there's something in your family that will cause you, that is set to limit you, uh, there's a set time that that will happen. Okay, so you could be thinking that you're so good, and maybe this is God's plan for you to feel like you're called, and like you're righteous, right? Like you're to feel like you're righteous, but at some point you may find yourself falling so low, yeah. And so when I met my now husband, uh it was after meeting guys and dropping my guard down, and it seemed like it would be the most natural thing. You know, everyone else is doing it, and he had also gotten into that. Yeah, also I'm sure he also didn't know that there were some things in the background that would cause for that to happen. Yeah, and so sometimes we feel like we are very righteous, but our righteousness is like filthy rags before God, and we are about to find out. Yeah. um so we got a baby, and that would set us on a path. Yeah, when I got that baby, I thought I would, you know, it would be upon me to raise him, okay, because as far as I knew, my husband would be going into further studies. What we knew him for is education. He was an academic, you know, given to uh academia. Yeah, so he loved that, or maybe he didn't love, he was called into that. For him, it's a calling, and it's actually, you know, as we have discovered, that was God calling him, you know, in his family to start, you know, to break that chain. Yeah, people had not been pursuing education, they didn't think it was important, and he was the very first one to do that. Yeah, going to campus, and you see now others following suit. Yeah, but what had been overcome in his family was marriages. Okay, so his mother and his father had stayed in marriage, as far as we knew, and so they took that seriously. When you have overcome a thing, then you know what it takes. When people have endured a thing, whether you look at it as good or as evil or as toxic or as weak or as inferior, and you wouldn't do that, you couldn't do that, let me tell you, there are people who by staying in it actually overcame. You may think of it as low, you know, you may think that you couldn't stomach some things, yeah, but by stomaching that, what you think you can't, people actually broke a chain for you, okay, broke some chains for you. So when you see people even staying in marriage, marriage is one of the things that is mostly contested in the spiritual world, because a marriage, you know, that is given to God, when people stop fighting for themselves, they let themselves go and, you know, hand everything over to God. And when God takes over, he's going to make everything right. Yeah. And so when we notice, like what I was saying in the other video, in the previous video, when you notice that you're very afflicted, you humble. Okay, that is the result of noticing. You know, some people are afflicted, but they don't notice. You know, they feel like you know, they can conquer this thing. There are people who are languishing in something, but they keep telling themselves, the man, you know, I'll get out of this. You know, there's some people who are stuck in gluttony. Like me, I'm addicted to starches. I like our African food, and I don't like cold food. I like salads. I've had to train myself because I see it works, and especially here now, I have no choice. Yeah, because I've been afflicted, I have to change my ways. I have to humble and learn other ways. Yeah, when people notice that they're afflicted, they go to God on their knees, yeah, and they are open. It is at the point of when you notice that you're most afflicted, when you have so much to lose, that you will confess everything, yeah, without shame. That shame that you always wanted to hide, those secrets that you always wanted to hide, those secrets that we hide in the family, thinking that if this came out, we would totally die. And yet God is telling us, give me that burden, because they become a burden, those things. Yeah, they become heavy burdens that we can't carry, you know, by ourselves. And that is why Jesus says, you know, come to me, bring me those burdens. Yeah, my yoke is light and my burdens my yoke is easy and my burden is light. So when you're yoked to God, it's like a yoke of, you know, it is like an equal yoke, like you're well yoked, right? It won't be heavy on one side. You won't be carrying, you know, a heavy burden. He carries the burden for you. It is so good to just you know, turn to God, yeah, and let him wash you. Bring all these secrets, all these hidden things, all the darkness, bring it to Jesus, because he can carry it for you. He can turn things around for you. And even the things you think were the worst things, you know, that could ever happen to you, especially because you were righteous, right? You thought, I can never, you know, say these things, I can never bring them out to the light, not knowing that when the light comes in, the darkness is expelled. Yeah. When you say these things that you're trying to hide and protect by your own strength, so much so that, it destroys you. It destroys you in every way. You become so crazy, even because you cannot operate like that with that kind of yoke, yeah, or with that kind of burden. When you let go, you see God turning things around and actually making the very things that you thought would not work. He turns it around for good, yeah. He makes all things work together for good, the bad, the ugly, he makes them all work together for your own good, okay? So you will be as the one that was afflicted, but you will say that it was good all those things happened. Do you notice how David, when he was caught in sin, yeah, things that he was thinking that he's doing in secret and also doing in authority, like he could command his his men, go and kill so and so, okay? Those men were never going to expose those secrets. He exposed them himself, yeah, as he was coming into repentance, because he had something to lose. He had, he was going to lose a child that he sired with this woman that he actually admired. When you really look at it, it's like this was the first woman that David really wanted, really fell in love with, yeah, for true. Because before, he had fallen in love with a girl, and it seemed like it couldn't work when they came together. This was Saul's daughter, and later she married somebody she fell in love with. But David, because he was, a lot of things that were in his background were coming to the surface when he came into leadership, yeah. When you have authority, when you're in control of a thing, you can show a lot of weakness through that thing that you think is strength, yeah. A lot of people, when they come into their own, when they begin to sense the strength, or that restoration of strength that they didn't have before, that is when you will see their true colors, yeah. And then once they notice that, their strength is actually a weakness, that is when they humble, okay? When they notice that they are actually afflicted. At first you think, oh my God, this was so meant to be. I always felt like I'm called to great things, and now here I am. But as you approach those good big things, yeah, that is the setup. God is waiting for you there so that he can, bring all these things that are in the darkness to light. And when you realize that you're just, a weak reed, you turn to him, you humble. So the first, the first point was, I said that when you come from an afflicted home, there are things that you will see. When you come from a cursed home, yeah, there are things you'll see. This curse comes out of, worshiping other gods, yeah. When people embrace things like witchcraft, they're actually worshiping other gods, yeah. And so this, when you're afflicted with witchcraft, you will see some things just falling, just breaking with every generation. With everything you do in that home, you will notice that people and things are not working, but still God is in the detail. Like he will keep rescuing you, he will keep relocating you, he will keep taking you to different places, and revealing things, yeah. As when I was a kid, I would hear people talk about curses, so they were aware. They would say, certain things happened because of this and this, yeah. So they were aware, they had revelations. Every time you come to a different place, God reveals what was happening in the place prior, yeah, where you lived prior. Before he relocated you there, you could have been asking, asking God for a difference, for him to take you somewhere different, for him to bless you, and the blessing will come in form of relocation, okay? But then you realize, even in the place that you go, even though you've celebrated, like how Israelites celebrated when they crossed the Red Sea, they danced before the Lord, and then they see the Egyptians are coming after them. They are crossing just like how they have crossed the Red Sea, and they're like, now what, and they begin again to complain, to admonish Moses, like every miracle you bring doesn't seem like a real miracle. See, now we've come to this side and they're coming. The same way that you've cut across this sea is the same way they are using. So what were you cutting it for? They would get so angry. That was the condition of their hearts, yeah. There are times you are like that because you're just coming into the truth. everything that happens causes you to panic. Yeah, if you guys can look into your parents' home and see how whenever you made a mistake, yeah, it would be speaking into their deep. You're seen with a boy, and I don't know about other homes. In African homes, you would be beaten because your parent is so afraid that you will fall into the same temptation that they fell into. Yeah, and because they can't talk to you, because they will reveal so many of their own secrets, they end up, you know, beating you, beating the living daylights out of you because they don't want you to make that mistake. I'm glad you agree, Ajile. So yeah, the people would have are so easy to condemn when they're still living under such shackles. Yeah, and then they see a miracle. God is returning the water that he had parted, and they dance again. Hey, I'm telling you, the people who we are, honestly, our righteousness is as filthy rags. Yeah, they would dance and praise whenever God came through, and then the problems would return again, and they would be like, isn't it, did we ask you to take us out of Egypt? You know, we didn't ask you. That was me when I came abroad and I started facing so many problems, so many afflictions. I would say I'm going back. You know, I'm going back to Kenya. In that land, I was a boss. I built myself into boss status. Okay, so I don't wanna stay here where I am condemned. People are treating me I don't know how. You know, people who were trying to help me settle, and you know, people don't know what you know. So when you're new in the countries abroad, when you come around people who are supposed to help you, they treat you like you're stupid, like you just started living. Yeah, like you're a babe, and you're like so vehement. You want to show them I know a thing or two. Yeah, because you had been prepared and you're coming to take over. These people don't realize that you're coming to increase. Yeah, they are already settled, and more often the people that God introduces you to, he wants them, he's introducing you guys because you most likely fall under the same issues. You're facing the same issues. Okay, so they went ahead sort of to prepare a way for you, and as they help you settle, you are, it's very likely you meet these people because you're facing the same issues even then. Okay, so you're about to get into a thing that God is getting them out of, and one of the ways that, you know, they pay a penance is by helping you, bringing you into this seeming problems. Yeah, it seems like a problem for a while, and whenever people are trying to school you, you are like, do not say a thing, because one thing, say one thing and you'll see me going back. Yeah, you forget that you closed all the doors. When you leave, you'll never be the same. If even if you go back, it doesn't matter how it looks. When you go back, you'll never be the same. There are people who have gone back. They come, they look, and they're like, nope, I'm going back. And actually, God helps them settle, because maybe had they not seen, they would never have settled where God wants them to settle. And some come knowing that there's no need of even investing in the old country. They know they will never go back. They can see as their children are settling, they're more invested in staying. They will never go back. Okay, so this journey is not given to a few. Like I said, there are people who God has blessed. If you hear nothing else, hear that staying in your own country is a blessing. Staying and making it in your own country is a blessing. But some of us have been in so deep in these curses, their demons after us day and night. We had to be relocated, yeah? And even though in their own foolishness, they think they can reach us where we go. And even sometimes they think they afflicted us, you know, because they can see that we are failing. Whenever you touch something, they're like, they're used to taking it away. Yeah, so again and again they take it away, and they do not know that you're equipped with endless blessings. Let me tell you, sometimes blessing doesn't look like getting and keeping what you come into. Yeah, sometimes somebody sees you, even you set a business, and they're like, they take it away, right, with the means they use, and yet God is calling you to rest. You know, not rest as you think about it, you know, but God is removing you from that hard work that they think if you have that, umeomoka, you know, like you're going to get blessings that, you know, they can't imagine. So they take it away. Everything you touch, they take away. But God is about to school them. and school you in the process, because you also want to hold on to things. Yeah. Now I want you to think about Isaac. Whenever he dug a well, or his men dug a well, in Genesis 26, I dare say, the men in the land would come and take away that land and say, this is our waters, you know, this is water for our animals. He wouldn't fight with them, he would move on. So this is for somebody who keeps failing. They keep, you know, they're contesting you, they keep grabbing everything that you get. Yeah. Some of you are in marriage. I mean, the kind of marriage where I used to think it's because my husband is very handsome and loved by people naturally. And I used to wonder what that thing is in him. I did not know that my grandmother, my great grandmother, had suffered that as well. Yeah. So it was manifesting with the same way they afflicted her, wanting to take away her man, you know, because she was very loved. In the same way, a lot of us were facing the same kind of affliction. My mother, when she was in a relationship that was highly contested, she was like, "Way, mutikogia." She was like, go with the man. That was my thing as well. I would be like, nope, I'm out, you know. So some afflictions that you face, and it would be set up like, yeah, even when you look, you're like, this man is too good. Maybe God is using that, you know, these people to show me that I'm not the one, you know, I'm not the blind. Ajile, you're killing me. Yeah, so it turns out that actually God called you to this thing. Just because you're called into it doesn't mean it will be easy. Let me tell you, when you see people having ease in the things they do, they grow into a thing, they get blessings, even financial. You look at some people, they have marriage, they have money, their children are looking like they, you know, they are dunked in olive oil, the glow, the health, you know. If they get into challenges, it is, you know, it is not even things they'll talk about. Those are negligible. They deal, you know, and they know how to deal. They seem like they're, you know, they're easy overcomers. Actually, that is what they are. They have come into ease, and it's because of what their people before them, you know, were fighting. So when you realize actually what you were fighting, you will look at your people and be like, wow, okay. And when you see where you were raised, a lot of times, I don't know if it's just me, I used to have this wealthy mentality. I'd even show people where we were living because I was aware we are very poor. And the way I was rolling in school as a kid, primary school, before class 4, I was rolling around like a rich kid. Okay. So, yeah, I used to carry myself like that. And my mom keeps saying that her children were given a glow. Yeah, we didn't look poor. We were pum pum, you know, we were looking healthy with the cheeks and everything. And she used to ensure we have Vaseline, so we would smear. We looked okay. We looked better than most. If people came home, and so, even though I didn't feel like I was very stern a person, I didn't let people come to my house because they would discover we were poor, you know, we didn't have the correct furnishing. But looking back, I realized why God did that. So the first point was the evil you saw in the family, and we had covered addiction. You saw addiction. Maybe some of you were even collecting your fathers or even mothers. There were people in my family that got into alcohol. They would walk in the estates talking, you know, they were very afflicted in so many ways, man. And some were like step families, you know, because some of my aunties married into you know, as second wives, or maybe 15th, because some people are seriously polygamous. And I would see some of the wives would be so afflicted that they got into drinking, yeah. And we grew up thinking our aunties are so, they're the ones, they're the good women that these men needed, because the wives that were married into these families were useless. They were drunkards, you know. When you see those people afflicted like that, when you see certain people in your family into addiction, you know, smoking weed, staying in tiny groups, eating, you know, those jabbas and stuff, just the things that you observed that you knew were not the right thing to do, there's a reason, and there was a demon behind that. Yeah. And then we talked about sexual immorality, and one of the things about sexual immorality and why even God hates this, because it's because when people get into sexual immorality, they will be used and abused in ways that they can't even fathom. When you start your first sexual act and you think you got away with it because you even went home and nobody noticed what you had done, you do not know the thing you just entered into and the agreements that you've just made. Agreements that have been made in your family for generations, okay? Things that plagued your aunties, your uncles, your parents, your grandparents. Some of you were raped and you kept quiet and you didn't know that there were, your mothers, your grandmothers, even the male people, members of your family were also raped and they shut, because with that comes shame, okay? And do you know what I was about to say before I went into all the examples? With sexual immorality comes open doors. We open doors to perversion. Okay, and you will notice some kids are so innocent when they enter into sexual immorality. They get pregnant and they abort. That is another open door. You've opened doors to actual gods, God's small g's. I think this is in Isaiah 57. There's a god there called Molech, yeah, that sorry, the word escapes me, but it's like this god is a god that is sacrificed to, okay? So the blood in the bloodline is sacrificed to this particular god, yeah? God, he's called Molech, okay? But anyway, it's a door that you've opened. Little girl, you don't even know that you just murdered, and it looks convenience at the time, yeah? And every time we go into these things, we sin in this way, we fall in this manner, and we come back and nobody knows, and we continue, like you're observing because you're so guilty, you're observing. Does anybody know? Does anybody see? And then you walk in fear. That is what the devil wants. You walk in fear. If you went to an abortion clinic, you'll never walk in that route again, because you're like, everybody can see me, You've opened so many doors to so many demons. And you see, it started with sexual immorality, yeah? When you even think, I will abstain from this, I will never do this again, yeah? Let's say, for example, and then you're like, God, I will never do that. And you're so innocent, you don't even know what to do. You don't even know about things like morning afters that were introduced as a convenience, yeah? It's like they can keep the devil away. They really can't. So you're like, oh, nobody knows. It's a relief. Nobody knew. And then you discover you're pregnant and you're like, God, you go back to that man and tell him you're pregnant, and he's like, God, I can't do this. Or even some are married men, yeah, they want to cover that up. They give you money to go abort, or even some people have their own money, but for convenience they have to abort, yeah. So it's like when you sin, I think in Matthew 12 it says, when a demon is cast out, yeah, and the house is cleaned, the demon goes out into the arid places, and finding no place to dwell or to stay, because these demons are spirits, they have to come back. And because they know they can't come back as they were, maybe you entered into sexual immorality, and now you're so shook. You're like, I can't do that again. I was supposed to stay, pure until marriage. And then you find, something keeps taking you back, this boy talks so well, and maybe what you expected is that this boy will hit and run, but he doesn't hit and run, so you keep going back for the same, yeah? And you're like, I remember at some point, as we were fornicating, I thought, we can't get pregnant, we have a problem. Because to me, it seemed like we've been doing this for a very long time. Let me tell you, it was hardly a year. Do you know how sometimes you feel like you've done something wrong for so wrong and you keep getting away with it? I used to come home late, yeah, because we were just in the neighborhood. And my mom would ask, what do you stay up late doing? And I'm like, we're just playing cards and stuff. And you think you've escaped, only to find that I'm pregnant. Now, some people at that point will decide. So you see, you keep going back, yeah? So it's like something is just, it's like a lie, yeah? You're like, I'm getting away with this, I'm getting away with this. You're sneaking around. One day you'll be caught. Maybe the way you are caught is with a pregnancy, okay? So you decide, I will terminate, because For some people, they know the consequences. Yeah, perhaps they can't face the parents, perhaps they can't deal with the duty of, yeah, taking care of that child, so they terminate. Yeah, you've just, it's just that demon coming back with 7 more. These are different. If the first one that was afflicting you was of sexual immorality, now this is even a whole god. Yeah, Molech and all the so many other demons of even perversion. Okay, you become perverted even in your thinking. Yeah, there's so many things that happen when we enter into sin. And even as, have you ever heard, when you entered into like sexual sin, yeah, did you notice the people who were surrounding you were talking a different language than what you grew up knowing? Yeah, so they're like, they will even talk about sexual stuff, you know, sexual escapades, things that they do, you know, more and more. Just when you thought this was just so innocent, there's more. And now to even, you start getting a spirit of fear. Okay, so once you start, let me tell you, you do not care about losing boyfriends until you get into sexual immorality. And you realize, I'm so scared of losing this man. That is when even that these tests come. You know, some people are now surrounding you that you're so scared will take away this man, and you start compromising. Okay, now this is not particularly my example, but there's just so much sexual perversion that comes in, and you even want to learn from these people who seem to know what do they do. Okay, so one sin leads to another bigger one, but this is actual demons. You know, one type of a demon leads you to many more. Okay, and they become a legion. If you were to be done for deliverance at that point, they would be speaking, they would be saying we are a legion, you know. And because you continue on in this manner, it's like everybody is in a slumber. People who have witnessed their children changing in their very own eyes, yeah, like they're watching this kid is changing. Or maybe this kid has brought a child home and you're thinking that is not the worst thing. Perhaps they would have brought HIV or something like that, yeah? And it's like you allow. And these people have kicked you. Men, you no longer have a voice as a parent. They increased in very evil ways. And this is only happening because of the evil altars, yeah? Your children are speaking over you. They are greater, you know? But in evil ways, they are greater in evil, yeah? But you're consoling yourself. They're still going to school. They're still committed, you know, in some things, and you don't pray because your eyes are closed to how evil this thing is and how deep it goes. Okay, so you find that, you know, there will be sexual perversions, you know, some doors that were opened, and this is not even in the case of boyfriend girlfriends, but some doors that were opened in your home take your children into prostitution. And not only that, there are things they will do that they will never be able to face themselves again. And because of the kind of perversion they get into, they have to pacify with drugs. You know, they will get into drugs just to maintain, you know, sanity. Okay, they feel like what they've done is so wrong, it's against their upbringing, it's against their beliefs, you know, because even as kids, God installed holiness in us, yeah, righteousness in us. Sometimes we went to Sunday school, and even in school we used to be taught, yeah, so we knew from whatever source, we knew there's a way we should live. We had that, you know, God awareness, yeah, godly awareness. The Holy Spirit was in us, and even then he hasn't left. He hasn't left, yeah. It's like a Genesis chapter 1 verse 2 thing, yeah. You have been corrupted, you have fallen, your world is now dark, but even then the Holy Spirit hovers over the surface of the dark. Okay, yeah, so you see a lot of perversion, which I won't even go to, but you guys already know. Sin just leads you deeper. It's like you're just getting into darker and more darker places, yeah. And you think you're doing this on your own, but there's so many demons, you know, dwelling in those dark places that you don't peer into. You would be able to see the dark places if you were seeking God, yeah, but now you no longer have the light, you know. You don't, and you know, some people will even drink, some people will even do crazy things, and when they escape, they're like, thank you, Jesus, yeah. You still have that godly awareness, yeah, but you would think the Holy Spirit left you because of all the things you did, but he didn't, yeah. As they say, God is a gentleman. He's waiting for you to accept him, okay? But even though the devil continues to, you know, go crazy in this home, yeah, run amok. God knows that there's a set time for deliverance, so he will let everything that is to happen, yeah, and it will go on for a period, but God is working this thing out, yeah, even though sometimes because of that idol worship, he lets you, see the evil of the things you chose to do. And sometimes idol is not just the gods that we worship, it's the things we choose instead of him, yeah. As kids, you used to sing, read your Bible, pray every day, but you no longer do that, yeah? You have chosen another idol. Perhaps it's people, Since you met these people, you no longer have, that those routines of praying and, reading your Bible every day, yeah? You're just given to this idol. You want those things, that feeling that they bring. And sometimes it's friends, sometimes it's liquor, sometimes it's the sex, sometimes it's all these vices that we get into, yeah. Another thing you will see, and it could be affecting everyone, and you normalize it as normal, is poverty, okay? And I remember times I was so restless about the poverty in my family. I had dismissed the people I was living with, which is my grandma and my auntie and my mom. Yeah, I had dismissed them as people who do not care about wanting more, about doing more. Even though I could see my aunt rising, we never had a TV growing up. She got the first TV, yeah. Those are things we never used to have. And my mom was very keen on getting a radio. She got it, yeah. And we used to just enjoy listening to music. And I could see them rising in little ways. But let me tell you, the restlessness that was in me, I used to call it out, yeah. I used to call the poverty out. And I was like, this is not the way things are supposed to be. And so when my aunties, that were married far, every time there was a family gathering, I would agitate, I would bother them, I would ask them, don't you see, guys, there's something wrong in this family? We are so poor. Grandma is thinking this way, she's rolling this way, we are like this, there's no man in this family. How come we don't have fathers? And they will tell me, Duta, my namesake would say, kure tumetoka ndio mbali sana. We have come from further away. We have come from further away than you can imagine. So this is a blessing. Whatever you're seeing is a blessing. And I would be like, no, I don't want this. Tell me how I grew up, I grew up, a little, like a few more years. I was willing to settle into the same. Okay, so you find that there years you're agitating, you're calling out, different things in the family. You're like, no, this is not okay. You people need to do better. You're telling people who have already settled, yeah, and if they have hope to do something, they're like, God will remember us, and you're fighting them. You're like, no, you have to go out and you have to go out and try different things. You have to go out and fight. You have to be like these people, these other people. This is what they do to succeed, yeah. And then you grow up, the devil has beaten you black and blue. You still have hope, but you're settling. Okay, so you find yourself settling. You're like, this is where I'm at. And some older people can even laugh at you, like, you thought you knew better, and now you have to settle. So they're laughing at you. They're like, yeah, this is what happens in this family, but not on God's watch. He will hide you in plain sight. It will look like you're falling under the same patterns, but God is about to do something new, okay? He will use people, he will use different things to make sure that this time it doesn't work out the same way, okay? So it ran in the family until it runs into you. Yes, you end up compromising and then giving in. Agile says you end up compromising and then giving in. You give up, yeah? And then there'll be all these different people and different things that, will speak to you about rising above that. I remember the uncle that had hired me would tell me that if you ever find a way to go abroad, so you see this thing is called out in you by different people. He would ask me, do you have a passport? I say, no, I don't have any plans to go abroad. And he would tell me, you don't have to have any plans, okay? Everybody in my family has a passport. And when some people do better, they are able to reach you, not in the way you think. And guys, we have to stop thinking that when our relatives do better, they should help us with money. Money is nothing. I'm telling you, that is the least of your problems. I'm sorry, I've lost my voice. That is the least of your problems. You want somebody who will speak a word, because this word will speak into your deep. This word is a deliverance. It is coming to destroy some demons in you, yeah? Demons of limitation. At that point, I was wondering, a passport for what? And he told me, well, if ever you want to go abroad, I will help you. Do you hear? All I wanted was an increase in my salary. And this guy would tell me, if you ever, you see, he was speaking to something deep inside me. He thought I was worthy. In the times I didn't think, I thought abroad was for rich people. I thought abroad was for other people. And whenever I speak like this about being abroad, I'm not saying this is a better place. I'm talking about the relocation that God has to do in order to save your family. Listen, it's very important, yeah, to separate issues. A lot of times people, look at people who have been able to escape, as that is the escapee is the one holding that thing, and so you expect that they'll be proud about it, yeah? No, that thing is for you too. They have broken the chains and opened doors you wouldn't otherwise have. God chose them to do that thing. It doesn't mean that they are better. You're chosen for something else too. And maybe you're called to rest and coming to that place more easily than them. A lot of times, pioneers don't even get to enjoy what you will. Ajile says, I was listening about sound in the atmosphere. Oh my God. Yeah. So somebody will speak about something that is in your future, okay? So the people that God brings into your life are very special and very vital, you know. I was telling my mom about this uncle. I was very protective of him, yeah, once I started working with him. And people, my mom would tell me about how different members of the family would go to ask him for money. And I was like, why do they want money from him? We work so hard, you know. He used to have a printing firm. And I ever had a story about how this guy was so beat and broken until he came into contact with somebody and they started that business. And because he had the knowledge in printing and stationery, they built that business. This man had capital, this friend of his, and he had the know-how. The moment he came into this, he was doing business in town. Every relative was coming after him, you know. So when I heard about those things and I saw him, you know, how gentle he was, you know, I didn't want, you know, all these things. I didn't want, you know, I hated that people were coming to him for their solutions, yeah? I was like, who is giving him anything? Because he was catering to the whole family, even his brothers, you know? And I was like, why are people... Anyway, I've always been very combative. So if you see combativeness in me, it has always been that way, yeah? I was always seeing things that other people are not seeing. I would hear of people who borrowed him money and not returned, and I was like, somebody stop me, because I'm going to confront them, yeah? I could see this man was different, and I understood even then, as a young person, this man is not getting help from anybody else, you know? They would talk about him. He was like a case study in the family, but they would not, you know, they would not pray over him or anything. They were not supportive in that manner, except to get, you know, something from him. I hated that, yeah? But yeah, we have to look at things different. And you see why I would talk about these things. God allowed me to be, you know, close to him, to see all of that. And another thing that happened was that I had to break chains of uncles, people who marry into the family. That guy was our family, but people who marry into the family, being expected to do everything in the family. That was one chain I had to break, because I realized people, especially single moms, don't want to deal with the father of that child. You're too proud. You're like, I'm not going to go to him to educate my child. I have people. Who do you have? That is your sister's husband or some other male relatives in the family, because people don't exactly look at their female members in their family, or if they do, they want to go through them to get to the male. I don't know why people think the men in the family have money, or maybe they're easy to manipulate, but you don't want to talk to the father of that child. You want to take away his duty, his responsibility, not understanding that when you raise your child, there's a blessing and a restoration that comes out of that, because you are doing something for the child that God entrusted you with, and this is, these are our children that God entrusts upon us to raise, to feed, to educate. And through that, God actually blesses us in the future. By refusing to involve your baby daddy in raising your child, do you know what you're doing? You're stealing blessing from him. And when you think about it, women have become thieves. You take people's children and you're like, I will raise them myself, yeah? And you really bar that man from, raising his child or coming close. And you're like, I can do it on my own. As the African Americans say, I can do bad by myself, and you take this child into the family, you've actually stolen somebody's seeds. You've actually stolen from another family. You've stolen people's children. Guys, do you understand? Do you understand why we become so compromised later in life? Sometimes we don't see it. In the early stages, we don't see it. As we take, and I understand why some communities are like that. I know the Luya and the Meru in our country, Kenya, they say the child belongs to the man, yeah, and they, even if they don't raise the child, they take it to their mom. Children belong to their fathers, I dare say. And I know I come from a community where our mothers, will roll with the punches. They will take the children and raise them, yeah? But in a way, especially when out of your own intolerance, you don't want to deal with the father of those children, you're actually stealing from that man. You're stealing his blessings. You're stealing his seed. How dare you? You're stealing from another family. And you remember, I was saying that the woman's side of the family will be very supportive, and not in the kind of way that you expect support to be. They will seem like they're raising their children with you. They will babysit with you and all of that. They will not come in clutch when you need money or when your children are succeeding. When your children start to succeed, they will become number one enemy, okay? And sometimes they're very likely to bewitch your children, because how dare you? You're supposed to be poor. You are supposed to belong to a single mother, who has no future. How dare you rise above the standards we kept for you? You understand? So by aligning with your family that supports you in wrongdoing, you're actually putting your children in danger, okay? You're putting them in danger. You're putting them within the demons of your family. You are letting them be affected. Anyway, all things work for good, but yeah, that's what we do. And we should be careful when we are dealing with men, because we really know how to speak as women. I don't know, when you're fighting with your husbands, do you see how well your mind and your mouth is connected, and he's not even able to put in a word, and you think you're clever than this man? What you don't know is that God is preventing him from speaking curses over his family. There's just too much we don't see. It's just crazy. Like, let me tell you, there's a trap set for us. There's a trap set for us when we are speaking. Even the Bible says, in the multitude of words, sin is not lacking. Okay, even now I could be sinning by talking too much. There's a trap in the decisions that we make. When we make decisions and decide out of arrogance, yeah, sometimes it's you've been left. Sometimes it's like, sometimes you're afflicted in a way, but if you do some things out of arrogance and you're like, I can do this by myself, let me tell you, you'll be by yourself. You'll be by yourself, and you'll be so broken until God comes through for you, okay? Sometimes all you will have is money and the ability to raise that child, yeah? and sometimes not. Sometimes you'll be depending on people, and it's so funny that you'll be depending on people but very arrogant at the same time, because you're like, how can you talk to me like that? They are and can, because uh you're giving them a responsibility that is not their own. You still expect to be respected, you still expect to be supported, and yet you're giving people a responsibility that is not their own. Some of these chains you will have to break, okay? Some of these chains, and I say that not Jesus. Some of these things you'll have to break. We are expected, and it is in the scripture to help those who are poor, always have been. Yeah, but let me tell you, there are people who are not truly poor. They're just escaping responsibility. There are people who are not truly poor. They're just coming for ease. They want what you have because you're my sister. I should be able to ask for this thing and you'll give me easily. I always say somebody who is coming to ask you for bulk, amount of money doesn't even have a relationship with their bank. So when they come to you, they don't expect to pay back, even if they promise, and they don't expect to go through a process. Okay, so these things we have to look into, because sometimes we get into things that even God has not sent us to do. We want to be in place of God. We are taking the space of God. We want people to praise us for the things that we are doing, and God is not happy with that. Yeah, He cannot share glory with anyone. You cannot become your family idol that they worship. And I know when we even test this fast money abroad, we want to be our family leaders. We want to say what is to go and come. And then when you notice you're not getting that much respect, you start complaining. I do all these things and people don't even listen to me. You're trying to be their family idol, to be worshipped, because as men, we need that worship. Yeah, we need that praise. Once you realize that sometimes the very money that you're using to buy respect and spaces in the lives of people is the same money that will be used to afflict you, maybe we will turn to God. Yeah, when we are afflicted, we get humble. Okay, I have gone too much into this, but yes, a lot of perversion comes into the family, and whatever comes into the family, whatever you open doors to, will go into the generations. It will affect your children. First of all, it will affect you. You'll be so guilty. You will not have ease as you're growing old. You will be riddled with guilt, and this guilt will make you speak out of turn, okay? Or will make you get into addictions, and some addictions are even sexual addictions, okay? By trying to undo, you're actually doing more and more just to tell yourself that, it's okay. I don't even know how I can explain that thing better, but yes. So I had gotten into poverty, yeah? So you see a lot of poverty and you're not comfortable, but those are things that you will observe in your family, because some curses come as a package, yeah? Sometimes when somebody is cursing you through witchcraft, and they say, this place will not have marriages, they will, sometimes they do it as an addition, that there will be poverty and strife. But this is actually, but sometimes, yeah, like when you're cursed, like when your marriage is cursed, like when there is, they're cursing your family to not have marriages, you will notice there will be strife, and some of that will introduce poverty, poverty into the family, because sometimes it will be everything that you do will not bear fruit, okay? Why this happens is that sometimes when there's like an anti-marriage curse, yeah, like what was happening in my family, when the man was not there, my grandma had to start hustling. Okay, so she was the first among her people to come into the city to start hustling. She was doing it alone, and then she had come eventually with her daughters, and she was struggling with that, yeah, just the balance. And because of what was happening with the young daughters, who were gorgeous, by the way, they were entering into just some things I won't even say, but you can imagine, yeah, and this thing was driving her nuts, and she thought, she can deal with them the same old way by beating them and stuff. Yeah, there was so much strife, and eventually she just couldn't even do her businesses. Yeah, it's like once she settled, she found her property, especially when she settled in Dandora, she just gave up hustling. She wasn't young, she wasn't old. I mean, she wasn't old. She could have continued hustling and doing her businesses, but she was like, turned off from everything. And it's like she sank into her own thoughts. Yeah, she sank into depression. She was no longer productive. That is what the devil wants, but this is always also a consequence. Yeah, this is a product of anti-marital altars, all these demons being after you. Yeah, so whatever you find to do will not be productive or will be so contested. Like if you did that thing, you would find a profit. Yeah, but your body can no longer take it. When you're riddled, when witchcraft is sent against you, everything that will be happening in your body, the headaches, the affliction in your body will cause you to not want to do anything, to not want to challenge circumstances. Yeah, let me tell you, if you are doing something and it was productive, you would want to continue doing that. You would throw yourself behind that thing. You would be so hardworking. But when it's not yielding, and it's not normal circumstances, even when you don't know, when you notice a pattern of you trying to do something and it's not working, you give up. You're like, whatever, So you just settle for the bare minimum or for just that daily bread, So poverty will come in this manner, okay? So you'll no longer care. Where you used to have so much drive, you were so hardworking, you'll find that it is a period that you are like that, and then you give up. You no longer care, you no longer want to do anything, and so you give up on everything. Just the thought of doing the things that you used to do, it just you're so demoralized. Yeah, and you find that you let go of everything that you used to do, everything that you used to know, the friends you used to work with. You're like, no, I don't want to be in those circles anymore, and you isolate yourself. But this is not godly isolation. This is not where you're isolated so you can consecrate. You find this isolation comes out of failure and the fear of it. Okay, so fear sets in. Fear is like a demon, you guys. Not like, it's a demon. You get so afraid of failing in front of people that you hide yourself. Okay, and poverty is inevitable. This is like a byproduct of that isolation. You can no longer go to the marketplace. You are bewitched. Everything that you are doing was touched by evil. So you find people rejecting you, and you've noticed even in the marketplace, like simple things as people opening a corner shop. They do it and they use idols, they use witchcraft to run their shops. In the marketplace, people are using witchcraft just to make sure that, their business thrives. So if you're doing it without it, you notice that nobody is buying from you. You have just enough for the day, and it becomes very demoralizing when you're not growing in the places that God took you, and you cannot go back. So you can't go back, you can't move forward. You've been bewitched. I don't have a better word for it, but you've been afflicted with witchcraft. So you're not growing, you're not progressing. Poverty is inevitable. Everything that you could lose, you lose. Okay, so you cannot there are times when you look around and you see other people doing well, you pretend that you're doing well also, but you're keeping this secret hidden. Yeah, and the devil loves that. When you keep things hidden, when you're acting like you have a good life going on, when you don't tell people the truth, yeah, even the people who are close to you, when you're yelling at your children when they ask you, Mama, you're not going to work today. You can't admit to them that, oh guys, I've been under so much affliction, I had to take a break. That is more truthful, it's more dignifying than saying, leave me alone, you demons. you're seeing your people as the demons, you know. There's something behind even what they're calling out. There's something that, you know, is provoking you into speech so that you cast them at the points where you laugh and I laugh. Yeah. So I saw a lot of that growing up. Whenever we challenged my grandma, she would yell at us, and that was our mother later, because there's nowhere to go except home. Yeah. At home, you're surrounded by these yappers, you know, and they're like, you're not going to work. And sometimes you settle down when your kids are grown enough, they no longer want you at home. So you're cramping their style, you know, you're making them uncomfortable. I know, I knew. I saw that laughter and I knew you know what I'm saying, you know. So you're settling down, you're stopping your hustle when your children are grown enough to question. Yeah. So when they question, you're like, what is it? Have you lacked anything? They know they're lacking. They know the standards have changed. Yeah. You have to speak the truth. You have to call these demons out. Okay. Whatever you bring into the light expels the darkness. Okay. Yeah. So you see poverty, and you see failure after achieving. You guys don't know. I don't know if you know how embarrassing that is. Yeah. You've come abroad, you're taking pictures and posting on social media, and then you're going nowhere. You fail. You achieve a thing and you fail, you know, and you begin to hide, you begin to pretend. Yeah. And you even forgot what God, you know, was talking to you about, the vision that you had. You know, the vision dissipates. Yeah. And when there's no vision, the people perish. Okay. But if you can, you know, one thing I thank God for is the journey I've had with Him. Even living, I knew it is Him who has spoken. It is Him who has opened the doors, you know. It is Him who had spoken these things. So I came in with a word. When I tell you that a word will keep you going. So whenever I thought, you know, I was failing, or whenever I could fall into, because whenever I started something, yeah, even whenever I went to a new place, I would have that energy of newness, yeah, and then slowly begin to get depressed. And I'm like, why? You know, what is happening? Why am I thinking again? Yeah. If I didn't have a word and a vision and something to look forward to, and you see, a lot of things that, you know, were happening to me were meant to break me. Okay. So, like, if I go somewhere, especially when I left my family, I was like, so this is broken. This is totally broken. I have nothing to look forward to. Okay. And then, you know, I think God was just doing this thing where I even started to work out, you know, in my room, even though my job was so bad. Yeah. I was like, I want to get another job. I want to work and, you know, have an apartment. I want to build my life. This is what I've come here to do. So build my life, I have to. But whenever I would go to work, things are not working out. I'm like, I need this job so much. I need this money so much. I was looking for opportunities, and some would just drop into my lap. That would just give me a boost. Yeah. God will do that. So He will give you a word, an opportunity, something that you'll just pick. Yeah. And so you have to be on the lookout when you're down. God is speaking something to you, especially at the right time. Yeah. Especially when He's bringing you out of that murky place or that dark place. Yeah. He's speaking a word. So you must listen. You must see what God is bringing your way, because that is what will keep you going. Yeah. In this season, it was so bad, you guys. I told you this word had to be given to my husband. So whenever I was like, okay, I know what you said. I know. But look at all the evidence of failure. Look at all these things. It's too much. Yeah. And then, of course, I would meet my guy, Tamwa, being like, you've not gone to work. Oh my God. You know, so God had a thing that kept me going. Yeah. So much so that when we came to the end of that, and you know, how it was especially difficult because I couldn't tell them what was going on, because even I didn't know. Yeah. Until God brought me now into active duty. And when this thing came through, I will tell you about the thing. Yeah. I won't gatekeep soon. But when it came out, I enjoyed the admiration. Okay, I enjoyed that they were like, oh, so you are up to something. I liked that, yeah. So when there's a word, when there's a vision, the people will stand. But when there's no vision, the people perish. And there's always a vision. But this depression, this thing that the devil is doing, this interference that he wants to interfere in the things that God started, will have you thinking there's no vision, there's no promise, there's no future, there's no hope. Hope deferred will make the heart sick. When you're expecting something to happen, when you're like, okay, I've come to this abroad, what is happening? What is that thing, that I knew would be so great? And it's not happening. And you're like, okay, so the jobs here are just to clean old and young people. So there's nothing that is better than where I come from. You guys return me. Yeah. But there's a thing, there's a vision, and your hopes will not be disappointed. Okay, so I hope that is encouraging to that point. So I've covered what you'll see in the family: alcoholism, sexual immorality, perversion, sin, rape. You guys, people don't talk about it, but I hope somebody starts the conversation. One of the things that I've learned along the way is just to not cower when something is brought to light. If it's something that's embarrassing me, and even if it's a child speaking or my spouse or somebody that brings something that should be embarrassing, I have started practicing, or have been practicing for some time, yeah, to not cower, to just face it. Even if it's embarrassing and it's something I don't want people to know or people to say, like one time, although this is such a minor example, but my niece was telling me about, the things that she used to admire in me, but I was so harsh to her. We never, used to understand each other. For her sake, I didn't cower. I faced it, and I was like, I am so sorry that you saw these things this way, because I was feeling this way, okay? And even as your aunt, I'm older, I'm grown. I was wishing things were different, but things were appearing and manifesting this way. I really felt bad about it, But now that I understand what you are feeling, I'm so sorry, about it. And, can we make amends? Can we, find a way around this? And let me tell you, there's it's better to be an aunt. Yeah, if that is coming from your own child, it's much more embarrassing. At the end of the day, this child knows that you're not her parent. You're not responsible for their feelings. So it's, I think, according to me, in my opinion, it's easier to make peace with people outside your family. When it's your family coming to you with heavy stuff and telling you that you've disappointed them, it's very hard, yeah, even to say sorry. For other people, you'll just say sorry and you'll move on. And you have opened a door where you can call things out. And sometimes, there's still that respect. With your family, you're so scared of losing them, of losing respect, of losing that continuity. And some kids will use something that happens in the family, or that you did to them, to use it as an excuse to do what they actually wanted to do, yeah. And that is demons, affecting them, yeah, causing them to push you in a certain way so you can disagree or fight. Have you ever confronted a child and they're like, I'm going, I'm going, and they go, and so you spend all your days worrying, but that is actually what they wanted, but that is what they were pressured to do by the demons. So we have to really stay in prayer. So another thing that you will see, oh my God, I know I've believed, but that point, I wanted to say the effects, yeah, and I think I'll keep all these things that come after short. The effects of all these things that happen, yeah, the addictions, the sexual immorality, the poverty, the effects of it in the family, yeah. You will notice that depression that I talked about. When my grandma wasn't succeeding in the things that she started, in the things that she was doing, she got very depressed, okay? And sometimes it seemed like she was riding on what her daughters were doing. Like if you start a business at home, she was no longer living home. If you start a business at home, she will help you run it. She'll be there. She won't go to the market for you to source the things, but she will be there. She won't even do a good job, but she will be there, you know, when she's needed to be. But that lady was so afflicted, and I saw it, okay? Now, when I saw it in myself, I really panicked because I was feeling with it, with noticing these things, this depressive state, this thing of isolation, not wanting to be among people, no longer even wanting to go out and do the things I like. I was like, it's over. It's over. And I was checking my age like the way you would check time, you know? And I was like, oh, so this is where it stops, you know? And I've not been aware enough to ask my mom, when did the rain start beating you? Because for me, it started, you know, I had those episodes, yeah, in all the seasons that we were fighting spiritual battles. I had this all those episodes, yeah. But when it really hit me that I am, you know, when I stayed home to do a certain thing, I actually had a vision of what I was going to do. Then it wasn't panning out. Then I didn't even have what it takes. I didn't have the tools, yeah. And I noticed myself sinking, and that I knew it is a familiar thing. I always sink when things are set up this way. So I start even blaming God. Like, you asked me to take a step back, or to move away from this and start doing this. Why am I getting into depression? And you know, God will not talk to you when he's already said a thing and you're not doing it. Okay. And then you will find that you're falling, you do not have the energy. So you start to self-blame, to blame God, to try half-heartedly in the things that he wanted you to do. If it's reading scripture, you're like, nasoma nasishiki, you know. So I'm just like my people, not knowing that God is using you to break these chains, and you are at a place ahead, yeah, or a generation so ahead that he's not going to let you fail. So what is happening actually, and I want you to take note of this, when you see repeated patterns in you, and when you look back, you see that pattern, but it's repeating in you, remind yourself that you're of a different generation, okay? And you're going to break this. Even if you don't go as far as you ever saw, you're going to break this. It is meant for you to break, okay? And you must break it, whatever it takes, because you know if you don't break it, your children will have to break, okay? And as much as at that point you may not have the love, do you know how you recognize that you don't have the love? It's when your children are challenging you and you're like, you will see, you will go through it too, and you will see. Do you know you're bringing them into agreement? You're casting them into an agreement, okay? So you must reach a place where you're aware enough of this affliction and not agreeing with it, okay? You step out of it. If it is depression, find a way. Look, find solutions. We are in an age where you can even go to YouTube and look how to get away from depression. Do you know one of the most fascinating things in this 7-year period was me looking at some certain symptoms, and psychology explains it as ADHD. And I recognized that, yes, I could have ADHD, but the symptoms looks like demonic attacks, you know. So one of the things that they do in countries like this is to manage problems, yeah. They study and they look at it scientifically, and what do they come up with? Medication, okay? And that is why when you're in the spiritual and you know God has taken you through this, he showed you all these things that are afflicting your family, whether you will call it like mental, you know, whether it's mental issues, you become aware of that, yeah. Like in our family, we face this, yeah. And then he will let you come into this understanding that there's, you know, scientific things, you know, our scientific way of looking at this, you will come to understand that. But because he started this thing in you, he's showing you that it is demonic. It is the spirit affecting, yeah, and thus causing patterns, okay? But science does all these things to help people out, okay? So some people will be affected by demons so much that they will have to get medication in order to cope, yeah? Ajile will tell you for free that in these countries we get very depressed. They explain it as, you know, our melanin need, you know, like we need the temperatures we grow with, yeah, like in Africa we have daylight and we never think about vitamin D. We never think about, you know, medication we should take vitamin D in form of vitamins and all of that, you know. These people are doing that when they get depressed, when they diagnose things like ADHD and all other mental issues, which are many, and I won't get to also because I don't have that much knowledge. But when they notice all these repeated patterns and they study, you know, even in medicine, they study, even when you're pregnant, they will ask you, you know, is there a history of twins? Is there a history of all these things? Yeah. And issues that you could be facing, like depression when you come abroad. When you see your doctor, they will tell you, oh, you need vitamin C, the happy vitamin. You will need vitamin D that changes your mood, you know, stabilizes your mood in some ways. You will need B12. Oh, women, we need B12 for all these things. Perhaps back in Africa, there are people who are taking this because they've come into the knowledge. But you are just happy with the you know, with the what? With the what? What is the continuous weather pattern? They say darkness causes that. Yes, vitamin D during winter times, yeah. And you see these things creep up on you, like you don't know. It's not temperature, it's climate, yeah. When you're used to certain climates, when you're used to certain foods, you're just okay. And then you come abroad, you start facing some things, and even the people who left the rural to the urban, they were facing certain things, yeah, and they did not know. This, some were familiar spirits, demons, the spirits of your family, evil altars speaking against you, but also this here, some people, you know, when they come into awareness, because they fight, let me tell you, nobody has more medicine in their cabinet, in their bathroom cabinets or in their medicine cabinets like the people abroad. You tell something to your doctor, they prescribe something. When you see a doctor, the first thing they ask you, which is your pharmacist? Which pharmacist do you go to? You know, as soon as you finished your doctor's appointment, they've already sent medication, you know. But, and when you fight these things, when you take these medications, you feel good, but only for a while. And then you're like, how can I survive with all this? You know? Yeah, the climate is so good. And they said the explanation is that for Black people, we cannot do well in this weather, in this very cold climate, because there's no sun to absorb, and our melanin needs, you know, like there's a blockage in our melanin, yeah. So the sun always does the job, but now we have to take them the vitamin that we get from sun orally, because we are not getting enough of the same, yeah. But these are just to not even cure, manage symptoms, yeah. But when you look at the symptoms of most diseases, and let me tell you, they will keep popping up. When you come here, when you go into researching something, you go into Google to look at something, you see something else pop up. I remember when I was looking, I was in Dieppe, right? And I don't know why, for some reason. No, I was talking to a friend about how it's funny we are aging, because she was also getting a lot of gray hair. Do you know how we, you know, you'll have conversations and then it pops up in your Google, Facebook, everywhere, as if they're listening. So I go down a rabbit hole. You know, they're talking about these things to prevent gray hair, you know, getting zinc, getting vitamin A and all of this, you know. But I had seen my grandma, actually, as long as I knew her, I never saw her with white hair. But when I count the years, I know she was in her 40s when I was actually aware of her, you know. And then I see my mom, you know, getting gray hair very early. And I was telling her, make sure you don't dye your hair enjoy and keep your white hair, your gray hair. That same thing would be said by my son when he noticed I have, because I was away for some time. When I saw them again, my hair is whiter than before, yeah? And he was like, please don't dye your hair. I don't know what that was, yeah? But anyway, I was in my time away, I was researching all these things. So what happens for you to get all this gray hair? Why is it happening? You know? And they talk about the vitamins, but in actuality, due to all the stress you've endured, due to all the spiritual battle, you start your whole body starts changing. Did you know that witchcraft even changes your face? You know, so many things will affect you. Ajule is saying gray hair in the West appears so early. Yeah, and let me tell you, these people are so afflicted. The things that we are just coming to discover or putting terminology into, they've endured. That is why they have all this research. That is why they have all these solutions, yeah? But these solutions are only for a time. You notice that the people who, embrace their spirituality and, seek healing, spiritual healing, they actually appear younger, you know? And some of them, just like us, just like the things we are talking, some of them, it's a member of their families that, come into this thing and they point these things out. They call out the things that are happening in the family and they bring healing. Everything that you're seeing in your family, that rape, even, what is the term for, all these sexual problems in the family, but within the family, incest, yeah? There's a lot of incest in these places, yeah? And a lot of people end up being broken. There's a section, there's a place in Kenya where if you confront a father for having incest with the daughter, they can cut you. They're like, that is mine. The mother is mine and the daughter is mine. So you can imagine what being in such a kind of a place will, will cause, yeah? The one who breaks out actually has a lot to deal with, yeah? And just you being broken out, you being relocated to a different place just gives you an edge. It's God doing that so that you can fight for your people where they can't stop you, where you can't be hindered, okay? So I know it's a lot of things and I'm going broader, which I didn't intend, but yeah, you see these effects in the family, you see these effects with the people God allows you to grow around, okay? When I tell you it's a blessing, when you have a family, just a man, woman, and children, when I tell you that there are people who fought for you to have that, you shouldn't take it for granted. Because now, when your children grow just around you, you are able to influence them more easily. But everybody who comes around, every extra person has an influence on them too and sends a message into their lives too. I said whatever the child hears is a window into their future, okay? And even now, your children will see you. If you're in isolation, your children will notice, and that could also be a window into your future. Your children will continue a battle of the things that you never conquered, yeah? Somebody like me who thrives in isolation, I love it, yeah? I've had to, have to ask God, when it is your time, put me back with the right people, because this is a message I'm sending to my children about isolation, and some isolate more than others, yeah? I find that most firstborns are very social, and sometimes when they notice that the family, loves, like now where we are at, my husband and I isolate, love, that isolation. So does Tamwa. We notice that our firstborn tries to bring people, to us, sort of suggesting, because sometimes your children will not say it verbatim, but they will say things like, you guys, you need to meet these people, or we need to go out, or we need to do all these things when you're enjoying your comfort, okay? But comforts can be given to you for a time, okay? And then God will bring you back to the people if the isolation needs to end, okay? So we have to be so open. I told you, when you're a chosen one, there's no certainty in life, yeah? Sometimes you think, this is the life. This is my life now. and you try to customize it the way you want. If it is solitude, you enjoy it with everything you have. Let me tell you, I don't let anyone interfere with my solitude or my, comfort. Yeah. uh unless they have been sent by God, and only for a time. I'm always on the lookout. Yeah. Because some people will come to put you into things that you already escaped. But anyway, once you escape, you escape. You may be tempted, you may be tested to check if you know, if you're aware. But once you escape, you've escaped. Yeah. It would take something. It would take a legion to bring you back to a place where God took you away from. But then that is why he says, every mouth that rises against you shall refute. Okay. And you will come to a place where the weapons no longer are able to prevail. So the third point, yeah. So watch out for the effects. That was so important. Effects. Just look at what all these problems cause in the family. Look at what your alcoholic parents cause the other parents to, go through. Some of the people, like the dads were so drunk and the mother was afflicted so much, the daughters decided to not get married. Some of your people, it's both parents still drinking to date. They're still able to keep their jobs. They say that they drink for leisure, but actually with the toxicity, they drink to pacify themselves, and actually pacify is not the right word. They drink to maintain the status or the demons within. Yeah. You have seen your parents fight so much, it's so crazy, and then you see them making up, drinking together. They think they look so admirable to you guys, but the children look on, they're like, I will not get married if this is what marriage is. So you stay in toxicity because you don't want to turn to Christ. The only escape, you guys, it's not you being with your man to drink or to employ such vices, and you're like, these vices will keep between ourselves. Yeah. We are drinking. The children don't mind. They can't say anything. They can, but they're not saying anything. They let you be. Yeah. Because they're like, what is the harm? These people, they fight, they make up, they drink together. Next day they'll be calling each other names. They fight, they make up, they drink. And you think that your children see you together, and so that is a great example you're setting because you never divorced, you stayed. But that is toxicity. Your children will not abide with that. Yeah. Somebody fought the battle for you guys to be better, but because you don't turn to Christ, yeah, you're blessed. Yes, you're blessed, even with money. But when you settle and when you face all these challenges, because you'll face all these challenges, you actually bring your family back into a curse because you did not bring that continuity of seeking God. Yeah. You have to seek God while he may be found. Let me tell you, for some people, it will be a long time before you can enjoy the kind of blessings you see with other people. It will be a long time. If you hear nothing else, hear that. Yeah. You will look like you're blessed, but it will keep being snatched away. Read the blessings. Yeah. Deuteronomy 28. This blessing that you think you have, and even God will let you sometimes settle into a blessing. Yeah. Sometimes you'll come into money and the money will be enduring. But if you continue sinning, it will be a curse to your generations. Now you'll put your kids into things that they have to fight off. They have to break off. Yeah. One child might choose righteousness, and they will call out the things that you are doing. Okay. They'll be like, you guys, you stuck together. Yeah. But you are very toxic. Some will even avoid marriage because of your toxicity. So staying together is not everything. It is turning to God, both of you, turning to the mercy seat, yeah? Running to the mercy seat. Sometimes we think it is so weak when our children see us praying and, just in tears, just searching God and everything. We are like, God will work it out. And we think that is such a weak place to be. We think them seeing us, enjoying life, going on vacations, drinking, that is power. But it's not. Let them see you seeking God, because when they fall, When they are challenged by life, it is that same God they will need. Yeah. So let them see you rising. Let them see you challenged by a lot of things. But when you come to your win, you give glory to God, you know. Let them see you turning away from your vices. Let them see you put that liquor down. Let them see you stopping the drinking. Let them see that when you changed, when you were challenged and you changed, yeah, and you stayed in that place praying, seeking God, let them see the fruits that came out of that. Don't say that, oh, I've worked so hard. You guys, you see, now you are citizens, yeah? Especially if you had a very long route coming to that, you know. I remember when my grandparents were coming, my grandparents, meaning my grandmother and other people, her cousins and stuff, were coming to Nairobi. They needed an identification card to access Nairobi, the city. Similarly to us, you cannot stay in these places without papers, right? Without a legality, you will be arrested. Some people have found ways to stay, right? They have lied to Abimelech. She be my sister, you know. They have found ways to stay, okay? For that, you will pay eventually, okay? But the fact that the doors opened to you in a way, some people came as visitors and they stayed, you'll be challenged for everything that you've done, even when you settle legally. You'll be challenged, okay? God is working out the problems in your family. So don't embrace evil, thinking that this is something you have to do in order to win. I point that out because a lot of people, they know themselves and they feel like they have a chance. And sometimes you come into... Have you ever seen people who never broke? They come into money, they're still, you know, they have money, they get into divorces, you know, they get into new relationship, they just seem to be thriving, yeah. And sometimes it's their personality, they just seem up and up, they seem like they're okay, you know, they have money. And a lot of people will look at them and be like, I will work so hard as this person because if I have money, I don't even need the man. I mentioned yesterday in the video yesterday that some people do not understand that whenever there's no man in the family, there's no cover. And the devil has legality to attack your children. The very children you're fighting a man over. The very children that you're swearing you can take care of, and you have money, you have these ways, you have these connections. God can help you if he's your husband, if you've turned to him when you fall, yeah? In marriage, there's that, shall we say caveat? I know some of you say, no, we shall not. There's a better word. And Wanyiha, you can do better. Yeah, Isaiah 54. For anybody who has fallen, there's that provision, okay? When you lose your husband through death, God says he will be your husband. I bet it's the same. When a man loses his wife, yeah, you have to turn to him. When you fall, when you are afflicted, you humble, turn to him. When you lose your husband through divorce, we sometimes want to feel good. We want to meet other people that will make us feel better about ourselves, will tell us that you still got it, you're still beautiful, you know, that man was a fool for leaving you, but actually you're getting into sin, okay? And even the appearance of that person, you should question. Question when people come around you, especially in your weak moments. Question when people come around you when you're coming into some victory. It is at the point of victory that you're most vulnerable, okay? So you want to align with some people. You want to form an alliance, you know, with people who are not even meant for you. These people will come to your ruin. Remember, the one that comes before the real blessing is a counterfeit, okay? But God can still rescue you if you turn to him. Every time you are afflicted, turn to him. I'm beginning to get mischievous because I've talked for too long, guys. Yeah, so the effects of it on your family members. And then this is very important, point number 3. So to reiterate, number 1 is the evil you will see in the family. It didn't start with you, but this thing that has been going on, it didn't start with you, but these things that you see, including relocation, okay? It's very important for the people abroad. One thing I noticed about the people abroad, they are the remnants. They are the worst characters in the family. They're some of them, yeah. There are people who came here in their power. But for most people who have come here through a miracle, oh my God, they're the stone the builders rejected. They're the least among most, yeah. So these characters you see, my God, the people that God has chosen as remnants are something else. So they're very able to see the patterns in the family. They saw that even before God brought them to a different place. But for the people abroad, for the people in diaspora who have been afflicted, have had their families afflicted, the Josephs, the Davids, you know yourselves, the Moseses, the people who came abroad and were able to bring their whole families, those are the Moseses. Yeah, so be keen, watch out, yeah. So you saw the patterns in the family, the evil patterns, or the evils, the things that you saw in the family that you were very uncomfortable with, okay? The effects of that evil that was happening, that is the point number 2. Number 3 is so important, is the revelations that were revealed, the things that were revealed to the chosen ones at the point where you are still existing together, yeah. There was a chosen one among you who was speaking things, yeah, or who was appearing very weak. What are the things they used to say? Yeah. So in my family, I use that as an example because I don't have you. I'm not even a social person, so there's a lot of families I don't know how they operate. God has allowed me to just be among few people. But in my family, my mother would say certain things, and so would her sisters. Yeah, remember, everybody is called, okay? And some are chosen to do a particular thing, but they will also be breaking other chains and other patterns in the family. So my mom before me was considered very weak among her sisters, but the things she used to say, one of which, oh, some things she used to do. Let me use an example of doing. This woman, no matter what her mother did, because my grandma was into some shady stuff, yeah, she'll find you cooking and add something. Like she'll find you cooking something like githeri and add some old maize that has mbosha. Mbosha is, there's some they're not insects. What are they? There's some things that weevils, my grandma was given to hiding certain foodstuffs that thank you. Yeah, my grandma would hide maize and forget, and then when she sees you cooking a dish like githeri, she will remove and just add into the pot you're cooking. Like this lady wasn't cooking, but when you're cooking, I remember with one of our house helps, yeah, she was cooking some burgers, some green vegetables. She cooked and she finished. So now she was done making ugali. She was about to serve. Tell me why grandma took a cup of water and added into the greens. The house help was so mad she cried. And I was a kid just watching. I understood what went on. I've never forgotten that scene. Grandma would do such things, yeah? So I was saying, whenever my grandma did weird things, my mom never called her out. My mom would not see the mouth to be rude to her mother. My mom did so many things that my grandma would be angry about, but she was never easy to answer my grandma. Let me tell you, that is a flex. That is a God-given flex. It is where you don't put yourself in danger with your mouth, you honor, okay? As you can see, I do not have that. As you can see, I've called my mom out on things, even on social media. And she was allowing that because she was like, if parents do not understand how they've affected their children, they are very likely to continue, because the things that are done in the dark will continue to fester. You will continue to affect your children. You'll continue to curse them. You'll continue to abuse them because you're doing it in the privacy of the home. Okay. And some of the people, some of the parents who affect the children most, who curse their children, who are so mean to the children, are the ones who crawl back. When this child makes it, they're the ones who crawl back and they're like, I'm still your mother. I'm still your father. You know, they use that as a legality, you know. But parents at this point need to know, need to hear. And I must say in the same breath that my sister is not, is like my mom as well, yeah. She has had, you know, altercations with my mother. She has had, you know, crazy times, yeah. But she was the one always, after all is said and done, she would be like, me, I love my mother, you know. And I always say that those two found each other. Those two were lovers. Those two loved each other passionately. Even as a kid, when I was so angry at my mom, because my anger knew no bounds. Anger is a spirit, you guys. Watch out when your kids are angry. Do not even provoke them more to anger. Okay, let's be keen to watch these things, yeah. So whenever, you know, I'd complain to my sister about my mom, she would be like, but me, I love my mom, you know. And my mom tells me that they were such good, you know, they were so tight with her mother, just like that, yeah. So there's a child chosen for a thing, okay. And some are chosen to hold the home, okay. I'm in awe of my sister and the things that she has done, especially in this season as people are being broken through. You know, she's been able to hold the fort in her way that we didn't even see coming. So I respect that and I'm in awe, okay? But for me to honor my mother, it has been a practice, because part of honor is not calling your parents out, yeah? Just respecting them, because even if you don't say, they will know, you know. Even if you don't tell people, even if we never, even if there was no social media and you are not calling ourselves saints, you know, and you are not sharing these things, you people would still know. You people already know. This is just you know, comparing notes. You people already know. God has already spoken to you. You know, deep calls unto deep. You are spiritual people. You already know these things, okay? But some things, you know, when you realize that you're going wrong, you humble, okay? You humble. There was a time I was rampaging, you know. I was just so angry with my people. I won't lie to you. I was angry, you know. And sometimes, because this thing, there's some people you really can't fall out with, yeah. It's like you're angry today and tomorrow you want to talk to them and just see if there's a way out. Because I'm still that kid asking my grandma, Shosho, you're beating your own child. That's the same way I am with my mom. When she didn't know better, she would take advantage of that, yeah. Because we will fight today, tomorrow I'm feeling bad about it, and then if you act a certain way, I call you out about the same things that we talked about, you know, yesterday. And God had to warn me through my husband that you need to tone it down. And then when I didn't listen, because I was like, you don't understand. And you know, we don't, I told you with my husband how we deal. We are so honoring to each other's parents, yeah. And so we never get to tell each other the totality of our disappointments. We may know because we are close like that, but we don't reveal the totality of our disappointments. I know if I complain to my husband about my mom, he will tetea her. What is that? He will come to her defense, yeah? So I don't even waste my breath. But God had to warn me myself. You know those late night calls? And he was like, you know, you are acting like a certain aunt of yours who was very angry with her mom. If this continues, it will fester, you know? And later, when I couldn't see a way out, he was comforting me. He was like, I know. And I would be like, you don't, like, God, you don't see me. You don't think it's unfair how much my mom fights with me, you know? He was like, I know. I know. I'm your comfort, okay? And let me tell you, some of the things like I was showing on the chat, it was God himself just speaking in that moment. The revelation that sometimes you're growing in a home, but you're an in-law to your mom, has that thing. Have you seen how with certain kids, your parents would be easy on? And with some kids, they had to be defended by the, you know, the other parent, you know? Like for me, it would be my aunts you know, my aunt would be my refuge. I would run to her house. But when now we settled and we could not run anymore because my grandma used to come and take her children back, my grandma would defend me. And I realized that in so doing, it was an honor among in-laws. Okay. So when my mom didn't used to understand me, even my speech, she couldn't understand. And I realized so late in life, just the other day, that I don't actually hear what my mom says. Can you guys imagine that? She says things because she is also a chosen person. So she has had a lot of time observing things. She knows things, yeah? So when I come to her with a new revelation, and she counters it or gives, you know, a reason for it, like, but you guys should know that, and she's like slow speaking. I'm like, no, it's what I'm telling you. And I realized I don't actually hear this, what this woman says. Oh my God. And I was like, calm me, Lord, so I never miss out on what this woman is telling me. You understand? And I'm telling you, don't break up with your kids. Don't, you know, I always say break up with your parents, yeah? The revelation will come after. When a family is afflicted, when you're able to remove or to be, when God removes you, yeah? Have a time where you get to fighting, healing, facing your wounds, because let me tell you something about distance. It makes the heart grow fonder, yeah? But then once, because of your fondness, you start talking all the time, familiarity creeps in again. You're still that same child that your parent couldn't respect. You're still that same child who used to lash out whenever your parent doesn't understand you or treat you a certain way or takes you for granted, yeah? Especially for us last borns, we always feel like, why are you talking to me like that? And you keep, you keep wanting, fighting to prove that you're mature, you're different. They know, they can see your growth. You don't have to prove anything, you know. But when familiarity creeps in, run, guys, run. Because the very same things that God was breaking you away from, you're very likely to re-establish. That is what the devil wants to happen. Okay, so run from evil, run from sin. If God took you out from your family, just like Abraham, you know, he was told to leave. Was he told to bring Lot? When they went away with Lot, what happens? Fight in the family, okay? Fights among them. And Abraham was like, you know, we have to separate. And he realizes, I wasn't even told to bring this guy. Until healing comes, let me tell you, I know very well that when my people come, it will be because a thing has been established. You know, the past is gone and new things God is doing, yeah? But if we come now, if they come now, we will be fighting, you know? If they come now, we'll be fighting. And let me tell you, I don't know if it's the same with you, or I'm just saying this so you can check. I fight with some people in the family. Some people I cannot. Some people, we are so tender towards each other. Some of the kids in the family, they do not know my other sides, you know. When they come to me, they're like, you know, my children. I'm very defensive of them, you know. And even growing up, as I was raising my children, those would be the children who are closest to me. They would be like my own children in my own home. They were comfortable. We were tight, you know, but it's not all given to them. So if you're like such an auntie, you've grown up in a family full of afflictions, and you see like some kids don't grow close to you, there's a reason. Okay, there's a reason why your family is the way it is. So observe the patterns. And yeah, I was talking about the revelations given to the chosen ones. When they speak, you won't even be able to escape that word. It will keep playing in your mind, in your heart. It is a window to your soul. Remember the things that were being said in your family. I know some of you are so diligent that you write down the observations. As you observe all these things, you are able to make notes and organize, you know, in a very beautiful manner. I love it. I love the feedback I'm getting sometimes, and what people are learning. I realize that people are learning from these things better than even I know, you know, even I can express. Some people, you know, give me what is this, like a summary of the things that I've taught, and they're like, I understand this, I understand this so far, I understand how this is affecting me and why, and now I'm at this place, I'm at a quagmire, I'm like at this crossroads. And some people, you realize the only thing they didn't realize is that they have won, they have done everything. It is where God now tells them, be still, okay? It is, the next thing is a miracle, okay? Some people have done everything there is to do. They have done the work, okay? So revelations that were given to the chosen ones. And then inevitable relocations, okay? Your family, you'll see a lot of relocations in your family. Watch out for the people who relocate. A lot of people are trying to, and I've taught this before, even before I had the revelation in this season, that as you leave, some people are trying to hold on to you. Some people are trying to cause you to make some promises that you hadn't even made. I remember some promises I was put into because I had that, survivor's remorse. I'm the one who got to go. So I'm making promises, I'm making promises. I will take care of your children. And when I fail, I take it as a guilt. I'm carrying this guilt around, and these people are so, angry with me. They're so entitled. They're, discussing with their friends. Whenever they ask for help from their friends, they're told, how about your sister? So she left, and I'm riddled with guilt because I'm not able to help, How about your cousins? You guys are suffering and you have somebody abroad. Let me tell you, the revelation in this season healed me, because up to this point, I was feeling like a failure. I was feeling like I've failed people, And even when I felt like I was coming into control of things, like I have money. I have to be very diligent with money, With some people, I began paying their debts from a long time ago because I was like, this person is suffering because of the things, they are like a prisoner to their lenders, yeah? And so I would begin by trying to, destroy those chains, to break those chains with them and their debtors, yeah? And it wasn't even mine to do, okay? But because I did some of it, it shows that I was conscious that these things have to be broken. And because I was aware I do not have enough to take care of everybody, I was like, these people, everybody in my family has to be broken out. There's a reason why I don't have enough. There's a reason I'm not able to take care of things in this manner, okay? So it's like, before God reestablishes me, before God adds on to what he has given me, I have to break out this family from the financial issues, But God wanted this family to learn, you guys. Oh my God. I can't tell you how much God wants your family to be broken through, to come into the truth themselves, because otherwise you'd be the idol. And that is where your life will stop, okay? Because you will serve them in the way that you think you're supposed to, and then that's it. There's no continuity for you. Okay, and some of you will even bring your children into that. You're like, you have to help your people. And even if your children, some of your children know that is what they have to do, because of where they are. But when your children speak up against something and they wake you up towards something, be keen. Know that there's a reason why you don't have enough. There's a reason why you don't have enough. Did I say there's a reason that you don't have enough? Especially you guys that are abroad, there's a reason why you don't have enough. God wants your people to be delivered, okay? If you keep, not keep, if you take, I think it was reconnecting. If you take care of your people to a point where you lose everything that you have, where like you're left with nothing, your people will not be delivered. You'll become like a curse to them. They will be cursing you because they are like, you are abroad, you have a good job. Even people who are, in the city are facing the same things. You are in the city and you're not helping us. We told you to buy a cow. You're not buying a cow. We told you, Sijui, dad needs this. You're not buying it. I want you to know there's a reason why you don't have enough. People get into debt because of you. And let me tell you, this only happens to these afflicted families. People will take debts on your name, and they will be given those things that they need, yeah? because they're like, my sister is sending money next week. There's a reason why you don't have enough, guys. It is God. God is the reason. He's keeping you away from abundance until he delivers your people. It is very important that they learn what they're supposed to learn. It is very important that they understand what God wants them to before he delivers them. Okay, so you'll see that even your growth will be in stages. You'll have moments where you are stagnant, you know, or you're stagnated because of the things you need to learn, the things that your people also need to be delivered from. Okay, so the design, God's design, was not for people to depend on a certain person in the family. Let me tell you, there are places or there are instances that God does that, where the family has all suffered together, and then God delivers one and allows them to come into so much money, millions of money, where they are able to deliver everyone. But before then, this is the person that suffers the most in the family, where you're like all poor, and then God delivers this one, not in stages, sudden wealth that you cannot even, you know, quantum leaps that you cannot even keep to yourself. Not the kind that where you get your salary and you're like, you guys, you know, I've not even bought food, but yeah, and they're like, so what do you want us to do? The child has not gone to school. It's not even your child. They're like, we need school fees for so and so. And you're like, guy, anyway, you buy beans and rice from Walmart, and you're like, this is what I have to eat until the next payday, you know, so that you pay. While God will honor that sacrifice, and while there are instances you should do this, yeah, please don't be an idol. Don't be an idol to your people, okay? Because this is going against God's teachings. This is going against God's precepts. This is going against what you know, God wants to do in that family, okay? Sometimes the deliverance comes out of people seeing you break through a thing. Let me tell you, because we waited so long before we went to Canada, one of my cousins, who was not invested in any way, did not need my money, did not need my breakthrough for anything. When he came to witness, okay? He was like just looking at everything. He came late at night to escort us to the airport, yeah? And he just kept looking at me. This is a story you should pay ear to, even though it's not very interesting. There's just some important aspects to it. When we went to the airport, I was done with most people, and at the airport, I was like, I'm not crying. I'm a crier. I'm a serious crier. And I was saying with my family, this crying is coming to an end, because it's like God would cause me to cry in certain times and I would be ridiculed, yeah? So I was done crying, and I had cried a lot in the secret place. I thought my tears have dried up, okay? There was a lot of ridicule in my family, you guys. So these people have come to the airport, and I hug everyone. They're crying. I'm not crying. And even my friends were not crying. They wanted this thing for me. Tell me why, when I hugged my brother, who is my cousin, I cried. I cried so much. It was so curious to some of my friends and even to my family. Like, they would ask me later, you mean that is the only guy you could cry when you hugged? And I was like, I don't even know what that was about. Let me tell you, I was confused when I heard that he said, yeah, because I have seen what God has done for Nduta, I am now saved. When I tell you that this boy has been afflicted since childhood to a point where he has gone to school in approved schools, like the devil tormented him. You know how was it Jesus or Paul who was telling, who was told, let me actually just search it. The devil, tell me if you know, as I said, the devil aimed to sift you like wheat. The devil wanted to sift you like wheat. It's Peter who was told, yeah? By Jesus? It's Luke 22:31. At the Last Supper, Jesus warned Simon Peter that a test of faith was coming. Simon, Simon, indeed, Satan has asked for you. Does it hit you guys? That he may sift you as wheat. the outspoken disciples seem to be in the same predicament. This is, I'm reading from a study. The outspoken disciples seemed to be in the same predicament as Job when Satan sought to put him to the test. Job 1 to 2, chapter 1 and 2, Satan wanted to sift Peter as wheat, which means that he wished to shake Peter's faith so forcefully that he would fall, proving that God's faithful servant was lacking. Do you guys remember when I was doing the chart and I was saying that some kids are like scapegoats? This one, the devil had asked for him. He had him since childhood. This child, when he was born, he stayed in hospital later. Episodes of going to the hospital with the mom, and I would cry so badly because he was such a cutie and I thought, this is my doll. But every now and then they would go to the hospital with the mother and be admitted there for long periods, that they're sick for long periods. And then he comes back home as he's growing, because they said there was something wrong with his bones as a kid. He begins to manifest a knock knees, you know, the kind of knocked knees that are like this. One leg is straight and the other is curved like this. So he would run, it would be so funny. And then he was like a comic. Like, let me tell you, this child was chosen for distraction. The devil had chosen to sift him like wheat. And then that thing, before he gets surgery, you just know it's devil's trickery. Before he gets surgery for his leg, the legs correct themselves, you know. And then he joins school. He's always running away from school. And we even used to make it as a joke and ask him, how did you get out of class? And he said, I told the teacher my tumbo was umaring. He was like a joke. And he would eat so much. Everything was a joke. And in his adulthood, or as he's nearing adulthood, adolescence, he had to be taken, like he was everything that could happen to a child. And let me tell you, drugs refused him, because he would smoke weed and have to be collected from somewhere because the drugs would not work in him, you know. My sister would have to go collect him from places. He has fallen and fainted because he smoked something. Then the family agrees to take him to approved school, yeah. And later, like his life was not working, you know. Nothing was working for him. And let me tell you, his parent was one of the gentle parents that, you know, covers their children, you know. But the devil had it out on him. He wanted to destroy this kid, and this kid would not die. The moment this kid, you know, I got our visa and we told this, you know, my aunt and her children that we are going, that is what he said. That's what, when you don't think, let me tell you, this thing sounds so simple, but it has depth like you wouldn't believe. When my aunt heard that I'm going to Canada, she said one thing, now I know that I'm going to get healing. So she got eternal healing, because in the next year she died, you know. When my cousin heard, he got saved. So later people would tell me his salvation is not true. He's still eating those things. He's still smoking. And I would say his salvation is true. Okay? His salvation is true. And you will see it. When we went back home, we are making merry, right? We are eating as family. We are cooking together. He would not eat. Why? He's in fasting. I don't know how to tell you guys how deep these things run, and how the devil has some people, and when they come into salvation, he even wants to take them out because he doesn't want them to come into deliverance. All I know, no matter what I see, no matter how afflicted he is, no matter, even if I was told that he was taken out of a ditch today, that he was found drunk, all I know is that he is saved and his salvation is true. I'm not Delulu, you guys. God saved that boy when he saw a miracle. What sense does it make? I mean, like, how did it hit him like that when he didn't even seem invested in this story? That is how you know that whatever you are fighting was deeper, and was deep to some people who were relevant to this story, okay? He knew even before salvation, he knew that this thing was held back spiritually, you know. Adeleo saying, wow, yeah, that happened. He got saved, you know, and now he's like a mzee wa kanisa. The people surrounding him are kind of jealous because I have a soft spot for this guy, you know. He doesn't ask me for much, but when he does, I'm like, don't tell me many stories. How much, okay? And that's not to embarrass him. That is one person I know I got him, you know, like the connection is just too deep to be refuted, you know. And even if people like complain sometimes, like you only love this one, honestly, it is not mapendeleo, it is not favorism. This thing runs deep, yeah. And I remember one time he came home from approved school for the holidays, and because we used to fight when we were kids, I didn't think he loved me so much. He had memories of all these things, you know, that I used to say as a kid, the things I used to fear. And he'd be like, do you still fear geckos? And I'm like, wait, I am married with kids. This kid remembers. And the way he would say it, I would feel like the much love, you know, that family love. In my family, love was not common. It would be revealed later in those times, yeah, in such moments. And I don't take them for granted. I cannot fully express for you guys to understand. Uh, but I will say one thing. Even when I got home, I didn't have any like special thing for him, yeah. I was like, this is my guy. So I get him gifts like for my guy. I realized then that my husband has a burden for this boy, for this guy, like it is his own son. You know, the kind where, and I told you, we don't take advantage of people who we are married to, right? But my husband, there's no stopping him where this one is concerned. Not that I stop him. He just has wisdom on what to do. And he's very led. So I've learned to shut my mouth, yeah? He's, you know, it's the kind of thing where he's like, what do you want to do? You know, what do you want to do? He will make it happen for this guy. And let me tell you one special thing about such people. They don't even ask. When their season comes to be blessed, they just get blessed. It's as simple as that. What do you want? You know? And it's done for them. For anyone else, there's no provision. You ask for this thing, there's no provision. Like we that wasn't in our plans. For this one, I'm telling you, it's not favorism. Believe me, because I'm not lying. If I'm lying, God is my witness. No provision. He still gets it, yeah? In the times that he's to get. In between, he suffers long and hard, you know? He's the kind of person that the devil snatches anything he touches. If it's a girl he likes, the devil will snatch, you know? If it is money he gets, oh my God, he has lost huge amounts of money. Money that was gotten through sweats, he has lost. But let me tell you something about God. He's a bill payer. If he lets you lose something, it's because he knows he can restore, okay? So don't be afraid. Guys, I have to switch on the lights. I'm sorry, I just need to finish this. Okay, so some of you, some of the people in the family that God has allowed to come into some kind of control, that could be financial, marital, some kind of the things that we call blessing. They are given knowledge, special knowledge to take care of certain people who are even forgotten in the family. Yeah, these are like scapegoats. Let me tell you, a scapegoat does not carry a burden or a curse in the family because you've asked them or you've put it on them. It is already put in them. They are born being scapegoats. They carry the sins of the family and it breaks them in so many ways. They are so afflicted, even the family cannot. Have you ever seen people, when you go into family functions, they're at the periphery? They're the drunkards, you know, the people who have come because our sister is getting married or our sister has a rorashio, and they will be sent to bring water to slaughter the animal. They won't be allowed to slaughter because they can stab their eye. They are looked upon as very stupid and ineffective in the, like, nothing they do ever, you know, succeeds. they're not they're not even considered as functional members. Nobody cares about them. Nobody considers they are able to do anything, but they are carrying the whole family on their backs. When people don't see this, people are so easy to ignore them, to hate them. It is a blessing to just have the clarity or the awareness in your mind to be kind to this person. For some people, it is an effort. You have to make an effort to be very nice to this person. There are people, if you're not good to, because you don't think this person can benefit you in any way, you lose so much in life. You meet out of seasons. This is the same thing I was saying. When a chosen one is sent among people, especially outside the family, like I was giving the example of a church where, somebody will be sent, and because there's an ongoing problem in this place, and it could be anywhere, church or work, in places where people gather. And so this person comes, and I don't know, for some reason, this person is always so noticeable. Like, you won't escape this person. And some people, when they notice this person, this scapegoat or chosen one, somebody who is coming to bring karma, when they notice them in their weakness, okay? And so they build on that, and they're like victimizing this person, okay? Not knowing that you are actually the target. God caused you to notice this person, so you will attack them. But by attacking them, you will learn every lesson you need to learn, because God wanted you, God equipped you, God empowered you, God allowed you to live in this place. Because let me tell you, for a lot of people who cannot function properly in society, in workplaces, in families, that is all we ask for. We wish that you could go to a job as a chosen one and just earn like the other people, just make your money and go home. But no, everywhere you go, you'll be noticed. Everywhere you go, you'll be afflicted, but God is using you to pass a certain message, a certain karma, because the person that he chose and empowered to be there is not acting correctly. They are hurting God's people in that place. Yeah. So God uses you to go and pass karma. Let me tell you, they once saw you as weak, but once they've dealt with you, they'll never be the same again. Okay. These are the same people in the family. When you see people who are so given to addiction, they are easily manipulated by even their friends, they, like, nothing is working in their lives. Watch out. Yeah. Because you have heard, be kind to these people. But you will notice the family may not even understand, why is this person so favored? Because of that little thing they get. They're like, why did so and so give them money? You're just spoiling them. They're not supposed to be given anything. That person is absolving themselves. Yeah. That is the favor given to them by God. By you coming through around some people, that is the favor God has given you. Okay. Do you remember how David remembered a member of this guy's family? It's coming and going. The friend was called who? Jonathan. Yeah, Jonathan had a son. And when David, after destroying his enemies, he remembers, even though the house of Saul is getting destroyed by the Gibeonites because of, Saul killed some of them, David remembers a child that was, sired by Jonathan. This child was a cripple, but David brought him to his palace and said, this man will be eating from my table. Okay. He gave him honor because he knew this is the scapegoat of Saul's family. Okay. Jonathan was once, in cahoots with David. He loved him. They were tight in this place where everybody was supposed to hate David because I've talked too much. Because Saul hated David and wanted to take him out, everybody was supposed to follow the king's suit. Yeah. When a ruler doesn't rule in righteousness, he will force, people to act a certain way. He will expect certain things. Yeah. So even he didn't know that his own son would be chosen to align with David, and in so doing, he saved a whole, he saved a child, a descendant of this home. Otherwise, they were all supposed to be killed. Yeah. But he saved that one. You know, your family could be saved only by the action of one person. So I hope you see the different ways in which God works. You know, sometimes even you marry somebody from a family or a tribe you wouldn't consider, and then just by that person being in that family, he's saving the whole lot of you. This woman or man will be attacked by your family. I find a lot of cases where a man who is supposed to be a salvation to a certain family will be lured. And you know, some families have really amazing, beautiful women, yeah, will be lured sexually into some things, and he will not fall for it because he comes in as a savior. But the family, the ladies in the family will try to get him into sexual sin, yeah. I wish there was a way I could make such things topics, but just pay attention to those, because I have mentioned before how when there's an anti-marital curse, some men will come into the family and they'll be tested. They don't know it is a test, yeah, but the women in the family get them to be with them, yeah, and so they lose out. Okay, this, if there was a marriage in, you know, between this man and the woman he's interested in, even his family would be saved, right? But anyway, he's tested by the women in the family, he's tested by them, you know, he has sexual relationships with them, doesn't get the girl that he wanted, yeah, doesn't get the others either. But there's one who will stand, you know, there's one who will be so keen, and for some reason the girls will even miss out of getting this man, yeah. He's the man who is coming to break the chains, this anti-marital curse. God will not allow for some things to happen. But though they happen, you know, it could be a thing, it could be a pattern. When people come into this family, women in this family are known to snatch each other's boyfriend or husbands. But by God not allowing it to happen, he's actually saving the lot of you, yeah. Some people may not understand me. I'm the best one in this, yeah. I'll try. This man is shown in a dream what you're about to do, okay. He's warned in a dream. Just the same way Joseph couldn't sleep with Potiphar's wife, because he was given the understanding that this will finish you, yeah. And this is one, had he done that, you know, he would be killed or something like that, yeah. But God was able to save him. So even when you see a lot of sin prevailing, a lot of people falling, they may not fall completely because they did not touch the one, okay. That one is untouchable. I hope I'm making myself clear. There are things that will not fly with some people because they've been sent in as a savior, okay. I hope I'm making sense. It's the same way Jesus was so above things that he could not see, okay. But for him to even come into existence, there's so many things that had to be at play, okay. He was chosen, and even his people before him were chosen so that he could come and be able to prevail over sins. Jesus was no ordinary person, you know. He couldn't fail like other people fail. But you see, the example that Jesus set in not failing is to be consecrated, okay. Every time that he served, every time he knew that virtue had left him. Let me give you an example. Every time you win in a thing, yeah, you get promoted in a very you know, crazy job, you win at a thing that you are pursuing, you get a visa when it was very heavily contested, that is the time you are most vulnerable. This Satan will send people then. And I think I mentioned this before. But anyway, whenever Jesus taught and he did miracles, virtue would leave him. We see a virtue leaving him when a lady touched the hem of his dress, of his garment, and got healed. He said, the virtue has left me. Let me tell you, let me give you okay, so anyway, virtue would leave him and he would separate himself, go pray, okay. It is at those moments he knew he has to go pray. That is what we are supposed to do. Jesus was a correct example, or the perfect example of how to roll on earth as you know, as the called people, yeah, or the chosen people. Right now, my virtue has left me because of how much I've talked, how much I've shared. Even if it was just a 20-minute clip, I could walk out of this house and fight with my child, okay. And you know, in one of those moments where we were due for a thing, yeah, a very important thing. One day I will share, I promise, you know. So something was about to happen, yeah, and I fought with one of my sons. Thank you so much. Thank you for assuring me that you get it, because some things cannot be said until the right time, yeah. So one of my sons, yeah, was about to do a thing, okay, and we were all tensed about it because God had spoken about it, yeah. And so when he's coming into it, the day that we're expecting for this thing to happen, it didn't happen. And I was like, why didn't it happen, you know? And he says, because you guys were not ready. I'm like, who was not ready? Because I already allowed it, I already said it, okay? And dad does this thing, he's telling me, calm down. And I'm like, I'm so mad, because every time this thing falls on me, okay, every time this thing is supposed to happen, my son will say, oh, you said something, and so it is like, you're not ready. If that is not smart of a child, what is? Yeah, like he reads the signs, he reads the room, and he's like, I don't want this thing to go wrong, so he takes matters into his own hands. Yeah, me, I was feeling like I'm ready, and so I'm like, because this thing has happened before me, I'm seeing a pattern where if I speak, this thing is taken very seriously. And me myself, I don't take myself seriously. But as a mother, this boy Kumbe, turns out he listens to me, watches my moves, knows that I will pray about this thing, and he knows if I say something, it is over. Guys, do you get it? When as mothers, we don't think so highly of ourselves, we are destroying everybody. You know, the confidence we need to have in who we are and what we are called for is crazy. Blame game. And you know, this makes me think of something, yeah? When my child would want to escape things, and he would say, but you are not ready, or you didn't look like you wanted this thing, I would feel the blame is being placed on me. So I would absolve myself of any blame. I would be like, ask your father, or please don't tell me, because I don't want to say anything, because it will be said that I said, I refused, I rejected. Anyway, on this one time, on this particular instance, this thing was supposed to happen, but not then. So I ended up fighting with my child. It's just the other day. And I said to him, I have been watching you to see what you're going to do about this situation. I have, in my righteousness, thought I was so righteous in my eyes. In my righteousness, I zipped. I did not speak about this thing. I did not. And he says, yeah, that's how I knew you were not ready. Oh my God. I'm like, please, I'm going to fight with you. This is going to go bad, because I cannot be taking the blame anytime. And the dad is like, TZ, you know, stay calm. And I'm like, no, he will tell us. Why are you always using my name when you want to escape things? And he was like, you know, he was so cool and calm and collected. And I'm like, is it me? Am I the drama? You know, I'm asking the dad, and he's telling me, I'm asking you to let this thing go. You're not hearing. And I'm like, no, he has to come here and tell us. I was being a total nuisance. And God has delivered me from that, but I was ready to go back. Okay? So my son is like, I have nothing to say. I canceled, I stopped this thing from happening because I felt you guys were not ready. And he wasn't even saying me, he was saying both of you were not ready. And the dad seemed to be okay with this. And I'm like, is it me who doesn't understand? Please tell me what you understand. I could be the slow one. And he's like, Mom, watch Aizo, stop that. I didn't say you're being slow. I didn't say anything. I didn't accuse you of anything. And I yelled. And then I come to my room after seeking understanding. Nani hapa anaelewa? Who is a drama queen? Who is understanding this thing? Please help me understand. And I come to my room, and I was so sure God was like, you already know. I entered the fast. That's how I entered the fast. The last fast I just did guys, 3 days. And I've been saying, I don't know what will take me into a fast. I think I'm done, you know. I'm waiting for God to tell me what to go. with that instance, and let me tell you, when I finally tell you, it will make sense. But in that instance, I knew how much I had fallen. And then I was very embarrassed. I couldn't face my son because in that moment he acted as the bigger person in this thing, and I wasn't seeing the bigness. I wasn't seeing that he was sparing me, you know. And I could have easily said, in God's time it will happen. But I was like, because I've been playing a victim where these things are concerned, I want somebody to tell me this is not my fault this time. Okay. What I did not realize, and for mothers who are listening to me, sometimes we want control. I told you about the control thing, yeah? And I thought I was delivered and absolved from it, yeah? I didn't think I had it anymore, but I didn't know this thing that I didn't want to be called control. My son was actually looking at it as strength. You know, when mom says, then it goes. I'm like, I do not want to be the one to say, no, make me a child. I want to be the small person here. Put it on your father, put it on yourself. I don't care. I just want for things to be said that they are right, that I did the right thing. I felt so low. I had to go into fasting, and I thought I'm going into that fasting for the way I always say that sometimes you'll be expected to fast to build capacity for the things that are coming. That was that, but also I needed to be absolved, and just a lot of things that were needed to happen. And actually it was God doing other things that I did not expect. When I tell you that God says, call unto me and I will show you great and mighty things that you do not know, sometimes the obedience, you will obey without knowing, and then God will reveal so many other things, yeah? So I'm leaving the living room, coming here, not knowing that what is going to happen, and God is like, you already know. So I enter the fast, and so many other things follow, and it becomes peaceful to a point where I'm absolved. I'm even taken out of, it's no longer embarrassing. It should have been very embarrassing, you know. Ajile is saying, do the kids pick up when we are unusually quiet? Because sometimes I do go quiet, and sometimes I don't want to fall out. Oh my God, yes. And thank you for saying that, because this thing used to bother me where I don't want to get into that altercation, or I get into it, and because this child takes offense or something like that, and I go quiet, I'm not the one. I don't go quiet, right? But I would see their dad. So I learned that from their dad, not me. If I go quiet, they would go quiet, and I would be so bothered, but they don't have that need to come and assure me that, Mom, I'm not mad, and I understood what you were saying. They were not into that, yeah? So I would take offense to that. Anyway, I noticed, and this thing, I was so envious of my husband about, because I always say he doesn't teach, he shows by example, he lives the example. My husband would not address things, okay? But the children would know. The children would follow every one of his examples. The children would go to him for major decisions. And yet I'm the one who is the mouth. I'm the one who is explaining things the way I understand. And they would dismiss me. And I would be like, why? There's a problem here, and I'm not the one who is supposed to be here, because how come they're understanding him in his quiet? Kids are so wise. They know us intimately. When I tell you that just them growing in that home, they know much more, including the demons that you're fighting that you do not know. And they see it when you take the high road. You know, you may not even feel like it's a high road, but for them, they really appreciate that. They see the respect you've accorded them. They know that you understand at the level that they are at. I don't know if it's helping, Ajile. I don't know if you feel what I'm trying to say, but later I had to ask my husband, why is it they understand you when they go quiet? And he said it is because they know that I understand what just happened, and that I'm willing to give them time for everybody to process. you know. And I'm like, okay, so how come you guys never get to a point where now you gather back together and discuss what you processed? Because I'm all about family meetings. And it's like, we don't have to. They know that I trust that they are mature enough to process, come into their conclusions with dignity. And that is where he wins them. He allows them to have the dignity of not confronting, even though the thing could be very silly, but they will process, understand their silliness, their mistake of what they did, and get be able to save face. Okay. On the other hand, me, I want to discuss. I want to see the reactions in your face as it falls, as it rises. And then I want to say, it is not as bad as you think. I want to do that grandmotherly thing. We can always work things out. We can always talk. They don't want to talk. They want to process. They are whole beings with their whole lives, There are things they don't want to be out there with you. They haven't processed it, yeah? And the best thing you can give is dignity. A lot of our mothers didn't give us that dignity because why? They were afraid. They were so afraid, that if they lose that moment, then it will never happen. The same thing I'm explaining. You get it, yeah? That they operate in that atmosphere. Okay, in case you're following and you're not able to read, Ajile is saying, yes, I get it, that the dad is quiet, he operates in that atmosphere and it passes the message it does. Yeah. And at the risk of painting him like he's an angel, I was so shocked to know that they know his weaknesses too, and he's not a quiet person. He talks all the time. He is opinionated on everything. But I think this is a God-given gift. When it comes to his children, immediate cover, like he won't fight with his children. If he does fight, the kids end up hiding, for some days. And I'm like, this is so rude. Why are they hiding? Why won't they come out and have us talk about it? And he's like, no. And do you understand that this is the gift that men are given over their boys, over their children, who are boys and even girls, do you see also that this is the way the man is able to cover you? You may not know because you think you're the headmaster in this home. But by his being quiet, he's actually covering your weaknesses sometimes, yeah? When he's telling you, easy, take your time. He's saving you the dignity, because sometimes we women go all in. We are like shame candle. And that is why you see some, when even the country is so bad, our women are known to go naked just to shame the people who, are messing up their country. It is that deep, guys. We want to, Ajili saying that's how my dad used to be. He never used to be a makelele person. We could understand things and it was good. Yeah. Do you see? And it seems you've taken after him. If you're able to be quiet, yeah. I was thinking I got it, but I think that time that I went out of character, my new character, it was because God was calling me into the secret place. Because I get guilty. I get very guilty. Yeah. Oh my God, yeah. I'm so happy that you got it, yeah. And let me tell you about this guilt that makes me want to deal with things, yeah. A lot of my friends that are now not my friends, and I don't say this, I hope you guys will one day come to understand the lessons I've learned, yeah, and why God would separate me with some people, because of that thing of wanting to immediately show that it's not what you think. I want us to have this understanding. I was so afraid of letting moments pass, yeah? I'm sorry. I was so afraid of letting, you know how they say the sun go down with the anger and misunderstandings? I would want to clarify, and if that didn't happen, I would just, go away, and I didn't get to, work things out. And I know along the way, I would have a friend who, when they knew they had made a mistake, that was the whole beauty of her. And I think to my dying day, I will be in awe of what she used to do, yeah? And it made me understand how she does life, because for everybody it's given a different thing. Yeah, because I would see problems and not want to, even if I will ask, because sometimes I would ask, yeah, I would confront the thing. If I was with a person who would be open to confronting a thing or listen, we would work that out, yeah. And even if I thought they thought a certain way about me, we would still continue and form a lot of toxicity by staying together beyond the time we were supposed to stay together. I feel like I lost my way along that, but I'm saying that some people take advantage of that when they realize that you are a softie, you want to make peace. They take advantage and they will make it look like you did something so wrong. You want to make peace to show them that you understand that how the mistake happened. You're like, makosa ilitendeka, let's make peace. Or you will ignore the whole thing when it's friends and you continue talking when it's something that should have been discussed. And then later you realize they were actually taking advantage. They knew what they were doing, because some people are way ahead of you, especially people who've been in the social circles. They know how to take cues. You're just an innocente. And let me tell you, innocence is not eradicated by age. You could be old, but allowing a lot of toxicity just because you want to accommodate people. But as they gotten older, it's tricky, because I always think if I start talking, it will turn out confrontation, which will create a gap between us. Oh, I get you. And especially with that child that I fought with, yeah, hasn't been around as much. And I think that is part of the reason why we've been enjoying peace. It's just been me and my husband, so enjoying that isolation because the kids have been busy, you know. And I think the other day I was telling him, I miss you. I miss our times together, because we used to ride with each other. And I noticed, I used to think it is so special with this one child when we ride together, because we would talk, especially about family things. Then I noticed with each kid that I ride with, we are talking about different things, except Tamwa, because as soon as you're in the car, he puts on his earphones. If you have something to say it to the hand or to the earphone, okay? He wouldn't be conversational, okay? Until a certain period that reached. That was God. I'm telling you that to say, when they are older, there are moments that come naturally for you to address a thing. So especially for you who is able to shut, you know, when something has happened, your children are watching you and they respect you for that, yeah? But in such moments when, you know, you can't face each other, and they even run. I'm sure you've seen that, yeah? They run and hide in their rooms, yeah? Even when you've created living room children, you know what I'm saying? The living room children who enjoy sitting with you guys. I noticed that was a thing with our kids. There was no terminology for it until I used to wonder, because I was a bedroom kid, yeah, an isolating kid. How come these kids at every time they know dad is home, and this is after supper, they don't have to, but they come and sit around us. And one kid usually comes with a duvet. He wants to sleep, but he wants to spend time there. So I have so many photos of him lying on the carpet because he wants to be around us. Okay, so God healed this atmosphere. Not Tamwa though. He wants to stay in the offense, you know. I noticed that is what isolating kids do. So anyway, after they run, yeah, those pockets, those momentary pockets where either you're riding together or you have a thing they can't resist. For Tamwa, it's usually a McDonald's treat. Like, let's walk to McDonald's. I catch him there because then because he wants to please you, he'll be like, okay, I'll put the the headphones down, you know. I want to read the next comment. You say it's funny when it's my siblings, I speak out as I think they're grown-ups, and so they might kasirika kiasi, but soon we make up. Wow. Oh, and that is a privilege. Why do I feel like your family is healing so much? You have the awareness and wisdom, and you know who can take it and who can't, yeah? And I love how you're protecting your children. That is not me, I wish. Yeah, but I say these things so that anybody else who has the same weaknesses or the same strength can embrace the strength. And if the weaknesses, you go pray. There's no easy way out, you know. There is no easy way out. But I have to say one thing, even with my mouth and how I've damaged a lot of relationships with my mouth because I observe and speak. This thing was supposed to be a gift that God is using now, and it will be a long time before it is, you know, clarified. This is like God clarifying this matter. Anyway, because God gives us certain gifts so that we may use them, but God, the devil corrupts them. Okay, so I would spoil relationships with my mouth. My also very gentle and quiet mother would spoil the gift that God gave her with her mouth. I've talked about, you know, the issues we used to have. Yeah, she would tell me things that would hurt for years and wouldn't say sorry, you know. What was I going to say? Because of the relationships I've spoiled. What was I going to say, guys? I've lost my train of thought. I'm so sorry. But anyway, yeah. It has come back. This is a miracle. This is a testimony, yeah? Because of the relationships I spoiled with my mouth, or how it would be taken like, oh, you're so bad because of this. For a long time, my life was like, you're so bad, you're so bad, you're so bad. That's also something the devil uses, yeah? And I didn't even know my authority as a parent, so I used to abuse it, okay? Tell me why my kids would, okay. Okay, this was as me. It has humbled me. Nowadays, I'm just humble. Don't be fooled by my mouth. It turns out that the things that I used to desire and say that I want to be close to my grandkids, you know, I want to, those were the things my sons would talk to their the girlfriends about. And so these girls would approach me with that attitude, like, you are already a great grandmother, you know, like with that respect of you're a mom, you're our mom, you know, and they already know their kids are so blessed. And I noticed that despite thinking that my children hate my mouth, they come to me for certain things, especially when it pertains their lives. You know how I say that I'm jealous of how my husband is able to keep his cool? He's jealous that they come and tell me things. You guys don't understand? Yeah, we are all set in different spaces. I agree. And I like your cousin brother testimony. Oh, I know. I saw it touched you. Blame me. No worries. But you guys, that's one of the biggest miracles that when my sons were introducing their girlfriends, they wanted them to be hit by the power of me. That has come through what? Words. The things that I used to think are my weaknesses and I would be in repentance, God was laughing at. And I came to realize that even God, for God to allow me to talk to people, because I was like, I started that YouTube, where is it going? I don't know what to say to them, you know, and I don't think it's working. God, take me back. In this season, I was waiting for God to tell me, kill it, remove that YouTube, you know. I wanted his permission to kill it. And God was using now in this season that, you know. And let me tell you, when you think a certain way of yourself, even the fact that, for me, I think I'm so short. If I get tall daughter-in-laws, I will disappear somewhere in the middle. And just to see some of them coming, not some, okay, some of them, right? Because you meet a lot of people that you don't know which one will be which, yeah? But to see the ones that your sons get serious about coming with so much respect and so much, guys, I can't explain it, but yeah, that was the miracle, to see that my words were actually healing to my children, even when, like, they were able to separate the fights, the mouth, the idle words, they were able to separate and see the blessing therein, and also see, trust me, because they know if there's something wrong, we can talk to mom. If mom notices something wrong, she will go to her closet and she will pray. My son didn't even know that I was fasting, but I think he connected the times, yeah, when we fought, and the next thing, I wasn't eating, I wasn't appearing, you know. Yeah, it's really, really beautiful. It took me out, it was mind-boggling to me. I was like, I can't take it. I can't take it, especially because I'm healing from low self-esteem. I didn't think that they hold me in such high regard. Yeah. At some point, I noticed that my children were like, a mom, be careful of mom's word. Yeah, if she says something, it will happen. And I didn't know had it taken effect in their lives. But I remember also no, coming into that realization about my mother, that I have to be careful what she says. And the way she would say things, you never saw it coming. And then it hits you 3 months later, like, Waduta, oh, kugagatia, please. And I have to call her, like, what were you saying with that thing? You know? She was hidden in plain sight. I'm telling you, that woman is a mighty man, a mighty woman of God. What is it say? A mighty woman of valor. Her words never used to make sense to people. They used to rub people wrong. Okay, so what is up is actually down. You people, a lot has been hidden. The devil has played his tricks. Yeah. And let me tell you again, it's through my husband I recognize my mom's greatness, because I'd be like, why is it these people like each other so much? My husband would feel very safe around my mom. And at first I used to think it's like he could do no wrong in her eyes. So I was dismissing both, like, you guys don't even know what you know, what you think you know. They were so safe around each other. And then I realized he's giving to my mother the safety that he's giving to me, the safety that we don't even give to each other, okay? And so you see that could even bring issues because we did not understand it. Even my mom did not understand it, yeah? So she was like, this child, you are so tight with this particular child, this is the weak one, this is the mouth one, this one, she's not what I would imagine for you, young man, my son. Yeah, so because she knew this man cannot marry anyone else in the family, seeing as I'm the last born, she was like, I wish better for you, And then I think even her, it was revealed to her that, oh my God, this is the only thing Nduta has ever touched that actually worked brilliantly, Even the time I was leaving the country, she was like, Nduta actually raised her boys by herself. We were not there, and she did great. And whenever, I ever mentioned that I should leave these children, go join my husband so that we make a lot of money and get them. And then later she was like, are you guys doing such, going with such plans? And I was like, Baba yao alisema, and people knew that this man loved his children, okay? He was a great example. This guy is chosen, like a Moses, He was a great example. When we got our children out of wedlock, he would still go with me to the clinics, He would carry his children. There was a pregnant friend walking with me. We had big tummies. And because we would hide, because we got kids out of wedlock, pregnant out of wedlock, do you know what this guy would do? Because the two of us would hide. This girl was his friend's girlfriend. He would come and get us to go for walks. He was not given to shame. He would be like, if you guys don't walk, how are you going to get babies? He would walk with the both of us, pregnant. And we were both pregnant to our mouths. Our pregnancies were big, yeah? So it was so revelatory, I have to say, yeah. And considering I wasn't even thinking about marriage then, even then, So the person God chooses for you, and even the tribe he was put in, where there's no two ways about it. This man is going to, to name this his child. He's going to take his child, even with a different name. He didn't care about the name as much as the father, you know, but just that he was a cover. And I do realize, guys, this is not just for me. Freely we have received, freely we give, okay? Some of your men are like that, but you can't see it because other things are covering the glory. And these things could be poverty, you know, and you say in this age we cannot be Bob the Builder, you know, but God has chosen particular men. Yeah, men are bad, men are this and that, you know, and but God has chosen a remnant, and it is many people, you guys. A lot of women could not cope with my husband. He was broke for the longest time. Still stays broke because of his calling, you know. Just saying, okay. But there's sufficient for the day. I'm saying God has chosen so many people. And if you notice the marriages that are working, even the ones that are in our faces, because I'm convinced there's some people God is using in the social media, and he's showing us our marriage in a world where we are being told to hide our marriages. There are people who have to hide. There are people, you show your husband today, he's gone tomorrow. He's compromised. He's attacked in ways you can't imagine. He sent beautiful women, you know, that he has never seen. He will be taken away, okay? But God is allowing us to see some marriages and to know that marriage works, okay? For some people, he has given them that shield so that they can be a testament to other people who are coming up under the blessing of marriage, okay? So these people have gone ahead, even though they are young. Let me tell you, no matter what you guys say towards them, they shall not fail. They will not fail. They will show their marriages in front of your faces. No matter what darts are thrown at them, they shall not fail, because these are God's people to show that marriage can work. You already know. You already know them, okay? So God is using them to show you that marriage works, yeah? And they are not lowly, they are comforted, and they are surrounded with other married couples, you know? When God restores you, this is not for everybody, okay? And it for you, for some people, I said it will be many generations before you see this. But anyway, when God restores you, you will walk without fear, and it will be thousands of blessings, thousands of years of blessings. Yeah, you will be able to walk freely among men. When you have a beautiful marriage, you will not have to hide it. Yeah, because you will be too blessed to be cast. Okay, some of us have been attacked by witchcraft because we are still, you know, in the generations that were cast, yeah, and attacked, both cast because of the idol worship that our forefathers came into, okay? When they were afflicted, they did not humble before God and gave their families to God. They went looking for other ways, and in so doing, they entered evil worship, idol worship, okay? They went to witches and witch doctors and all of this to find solutions and to be told what these people are seeing in the lives of their families, okay? These are the people who would tell them, oh, these witches in your family, you know, this and this will happen. But in the same place, they gave out whole generations without knowing. That is why we were afflicted, because instead of our forefathers noticing the affliction and humbling, whenever we are afflicted, whenever we are attacked, we are supposed to humble, okay? Whenever we fall, even in marriage, and I'm seeing this thing happening because we're in the social media space, yeah, and people are like, you know, analyzing who is wrong, who isn't, okay? And the person they support is the most vulnerable. Do you know the person that is supported by most people is the most vulnerable? Let me tell you, I did not even know that about my husband. Because he was loved by everyone, I was like, wakwende. You know, at some point I was like, I don't even want to be in this atmosphere because I cannot stay in this competition. I'm a lazy person. I can't fight like this. I cannot compete like this, you know. I did not know, but in him being loved by everyone, he was actually very vulnerable, you know. He was set up for evil. He was set up to be connected by demonic people who would bring him down for ages, and in so doing would destroy his generations. But God, man, but God, there are generations that will not be wiped away, because God intends to use you as a testimony. I am one person who can tell you there's nothing in me that could have saved in my marriage. Even I, if it was voting, I could not have voted for myself. I was hopeful. I stayed hopeful. But there was nothing in me that could save my marriage. It was only God. And with that, I'm so wowed. Yeah, I'm like, okay, God, okay. You know, some things I was even laughing at, some victorias, I was like, too much. You know, I'm amazed. When they sing, I stand amazed in your presence. There is nothing you cannot do. My victories have humbled me, you know. So yeah, I was, what was I saying, guys? What was I saying, Ajile? What was I saying? Yes, I was saying, I see in this season somebody who is being a woman who seems to have come out on top, yeah, where her marriage is concerned, which actually started with on a wrong foundation, right? So people, everybody is saying, this woman has done well. She has broken off she has come out strong, okay? And I don't know about the future. I'm just using it as an example. But anyway, when people seem to be surrounded and favored by people, watch out. Because these people are going to leave you. That is what the devil does, yeah? He seems like he has endowed you so much. Yeah, you have everything that people desire. When he moves away from you, when you are exposed, the devil is not there. The devil is not, he'll be at a corner laughing at you. Yeah. When you're exposed, the devil, you suffer alone. You are embarrassed alone. You face the shame alone. A lot of these things, you even petition God, and you're like, God, how could you let me sin? You moved away from me, man. You moved away from me. But now that it's like this, now that you're embarrassed, let me tell you, God does not embarrass. It is us. And a lot of times, even when God is establishing you on a thing, he will show you. People have so many problems. They're not looking at you. They don't care. They're looking at a savior. So if you're brave enough to come up with your story and tell the truth, God will allow people to be delivered through you, okay? Because you have stood, you let go of everything. You're like, if I lose, I lose, you know? You're like Esther, if I die, I die. But I'm going to go before the king, okay? So I'm saying that when you're surrounded with people, you could be fortified with evil. Yeah, they're telling you that you think you cannot fail because all these people are surrounding you. I remember in the times when I was most vulnerable, very, easy to sin, going into, especially I remember a time where I was surrounded with a group of women, yeah? And I was like, me, I'll be going out and all of these things. None of them stopped me. Nobody reminded me, hey, wait, but you're married. In fact, I was saying, this guy seems to be having fun where he is. And of course, there's Facebook. There's a time Facebook used to show what everybody is doing. I would see my husband taking photos with his schoolmates, and I'm like, this guy is gone, So when I say, even me, I'll go out, every one of those people was supporting me. Tell me why. Tell me why, please. That was a setup, okay? That was a setup. So when you're surrounded by people, look again. You'd rather be alone, okay? So when God ushers you into isolation, there's a reason. But also, you won't go in without knowing. What will you be running from? You don't know. You don't know that there's danger out there, okay? So when they run away and you remain alone, you only have God. And that is when he reveals to you what was behind there, yeah, and he reveals in part. So I was talking about the inevitable relocation. You'll be relocated because of what has been. It won't happen to everybody in the family. Some of your people are watching you suffering abroad, and they're like, hey, herisisi hatukuenda. They do not know that you're still fighting their wars. The battle is not won yet, okay? So as they sit there, they will be restored in many ways. Some, when you look back, you'll be like, "Hey, these people are so lucky. They're so lucky. They didn't have to fight the battle that I did." Okay. So relocation will happen not for everybody. Sometimes you'll be relocated within the country, yeah. And even people who come abroad, you could be living in Worcester today, but God moves you somewhere else, yeah, because you're supposed to build an altar in Worcester. Maybe your children will come back to stay there, yeah, and then you go to a different place. I'm convinced the reason why we came out victorious in St. John's is because our dad had gone ahead, yeah. It was a matter of opening those wells. Some were forts, and some God actually restored us, yeah. That story is very relevant to me, and I believe to you too. Okay, so now there will be revelations after relocation. Okay, one of the ways I knew for sure, I had been shown, yeah, I had been shown, that's revelation. I say revelation will be given to the chosen one. I had been shown what was happening in my family. I had been shown that I had enemies. Okay, and I had been shown what they did, because sometimes it was a point of contact. But if it was only when I was safely on the other side in Canada that I didn't even know that I was going there to battle, that God revealed some things and, confirmed some things. Have you ever thought that something was just negligible? Nothing was, that was just nothing. It was me overthinking. God shows me that it was this person, that was this person, that was this person, this was being done for this reason. Okay, and so it comes as a shock to you when you discover that your people could actually do that. You lose strength. Like, how? Why? What did I ever do to anyone? But they were doing that because they were chosen to do that. Okay, for every chosen one, there's a witch contending you. Okay, and this come from the altar. And that is how I say, even though these things are running in the family, these demons, these evil altars, the Spirit of God is hovering over the surface. He's really working. He's with you right now. Okay, and he's omnipresent. Whenever whatever the devil cannot see, those things that they have to watch patterns in order to do something against you. I'm aware that other people are joining, so that is why I'm not, stopping, despite the fact that it's 3 hours. So if you've joined now, thank you so much for joining. Feel free to say hello and also contribute, comment what you think. But I know these are just things sometimes people don't even want to be seen commenting on. You don't want to admit that it is you also in the same soup. Yeah, so I was saying that yes, there'll be people, and this will be chosen as witches. Why? And so choosing as these people were born that way with a hard heart. Why? Because your family, God wants your family to be delivered. Okay, they will not be delivered if they never see anything bad happening. Okay, if you guys are comfortable, why would you need to pray? If you're comfortable, why would you need a breakthrough? Okay, if you haven't suffered, why would you need a breakthrough? Really, right? And so God chooses different people to break off different things. Yeah, some will seem like it's a major thing, just like we have major prophets, major people in the Bible, and some are little. And then you come see what they were doing, even in the Word. You get amazed. For me, I've never even read the book of Ezekiel, yeah, but so many sermons have been used to just rouse me from where I am, yeah. Anyway, so these people are designed to attack you. And that is why even when Jesus was talking about, your enemies, he said to pray for them, okay? By doing so, you're piling coals, hot coals on their head. They get, if you have something hot in your head, yeah, you will run for safety or for mischief, okay? You are looking for a solution. You will continue to do more evil or just come into repentance, yeah? So through your repentance and through you being set free, even the witches in your family will be set free, yeah? They will turn around. They will humble before God, yeah? God will turn this thing around. So they're not meant to be destroyed. But some people who never repented of the things they did, because it's not the deed that is so bad. Yeah, it is not you afflicting people, because as you can see, it works out for good. Yeah, so even when you've done witchcraft against your family, you've afflicted them, and some have participated so much that they were able to see what is happening to their families. Yeah, and they laughed out loud, and still there's forgiveness over you. Okay, you'll be forgiven, you'll be taken through a process. The process will be painful, yes, but even the chosen one goes through a painful process. Nobody gets it easy, yeah, but God will forgive you. Some people you hear are forgiven, you even get shocked, because you're like, but this person afflicted me so much. And then God reminds you of the many things you've also done. Okay, so even when God is revealing these things, and this thing was taught to me by the teacher God sent me then. Okay, when you discover who was doing witchcraft against you, you do not pray against them, you pray for blessings over them, because they, as your family, you're first of all shocked that they did this, but you have tenderness in your heart. Yeah, you want them to be saved and to be set free and stop doing those things. Yeah, have you ever seen a person so vile and you're like, oh, I wish they would stop doing this. I wish they would stop from, they would step away from that and just turn to God. Yeah, because in that, their souls will be saved. And you see, you're coming into relocation after repentance, so it's fresh in your mind what God forgave you of. Some of the things you got into just so that God, it will be held over your head, but you did this, you did all these things. Yeah, and even though God later will show you why, what the trap was that caused you to talk a certain way, to attack somebody a certain way, to get into sexual sins. Yeah, to get into more sins, than even sex. Yeah, things of murder, like I was saying, there's abortion. Yeah, that opened so many doors. And you realize at the point where God is revealing all these things, and you come to the truth of these things, you realize my family could get doomed. All of it, all my generations could be doomed because of what I did. Okay, and God wants you to see these things and actually take them seriously, because the people before you did not take these things seriously. There are things like abortion, sexual immorality, perversion that happened in your family, and then they watched and thought everybody seems okay. They just kept the secrets. Okay, they did not address it. And then you come into that problem as their descendants, as their child, as their grandchild, and maybe you keep quiet, right? So they don't know. If they knew, because of the torture they've gone through, they will tell you, my grandchild, I've done that as well. If, let me tell you, some parents condemn their children when they go into addictions, alcoholism and all that, but when it is their grandchild, they're like, come here, my child, you cannot do this. This thing was afflicting me too. Okay, so when you see that a grandparent is still around your children, it's because you guys have not healed, have not been broken out of these chains. Okay, so they needed to be together so that they can reveal things to each other. That is the same way witches work. They will take the grandchild. Your child will not listen to you. They will condemn you. They will be like, what are you doing, mother? They will not come into agreement with you. Your grandchildren, though, you'll be like, come here, baby. Did you know that if you could do this, it will affect the child in your class? Is there someone you don't like? Yeah. What did they do to you? Go and do this. And this child performs magic. This child is able to hit on their enemies. Trust me, they will agree. They will become a little witch. They will become stronger than you. They'll be crazy. They will afflict other children like nobody's business. They will want that, because they love grandma. If your grandchild knows that you are a drunkard, an alcoholic, an addicted, a person addicted, or whatever sin they fall into, they will pacify. My grandma didn't have any problem with me giving birth at home. All she wanted was that child to be named after her husband. My mother-in-law has no problem with children being brought, out of wedlock. She supports her girls when they bring babies. She wants the home to be filled with children. So she supports that vice, okay? Try dealing with such a child from that home, that you're a husband telling them, oh, I'll chase you out. Chase who out? I will go by myself. I have places to go. And she's a powerful woman. When what she says goes, and she loves her children, she spoils them. They have places to go. Do you understand how evil will be supported to grow, to penetrate through the generations? Yeah. Even I can't say anything. I tell you guys with an open heart all these things, because someone will be chosen somewhere to tell our people that, yeah, our children, our grandchildren. There are people you're not able to tell, in the families, that what you're doing is wrong. Okay, you can't call it out, but they will come to the truth because God will raise someone. Okay, so these callings are not just callings, and some are really what they are. Yeah, so anyway, so I was saying that God will reveal the people who did what to you. And then at that point, you're on such a high, you're seeing a miracle that God has done. And then he's like, hey, now that you've had a week of enjoyment, okay, this is the list of the people who did this. And you cry. You call your mother, you call everyone to tell them, oh, this happened. And they're like, I don't think they do that anymore. Nobody will listen, so inevitable relocation, and then revelations at that point, and then deliverance. Can you imagine that deliverance will not happen before you're relocated? That thing of you being relocated is not actually deliverance. Yeah, it is still God doing his thing, and then he delivers you at that point. Yeah, so you are relocated and then God delivers you from certain things. Okay, it depends on how long your battle is, so even at the point where I arrive Canada and God is revealing all these things. Oh, okay, Ajile, I understand. And I know you've been here from the beginning. 3 hours later. Thank you. God bless you too. Say hi to the babies. Yeah, so at the point where God is revealing these things to me in Canada, I was yet to go on a very long journey. I would have thought this is the end. So God has revealed some things have happened, and I see some things he didn't even tell me that were going to happening. We were losing some members of the family, and it was premature death, and I see how afflicted this family is. Yeah, and I was just discovering the other day that there are dreams I wrote where God is talking to me about a thing that is to happen in the future. This future was 5 years to come, but at that point he was revealing things and just showing the condition of our families. Yeah, I needed to know these things so that I don't gaslight myself, and for him to explain why things have been the way they have. And this is also because some of the people that I would naturally have included in this journey, God said no. God said to not include them. And then when I cross over is when he tells me the reason. Yeah, and then before I leave that place, he shows me more revelations, and he shows me, these people are here now. Yeah, spiritually they came to that place. Yeah, and they came to destroy. So they were in my job, like interfering. I was shown in dreams. Yeah, like so and so has come to my job and they're interfering. They're telling the bosses that I'm not doing a good enough job. So whatever I will do, they will be like, no, I will do it better, And then the last thing I saw before I left St. John's was my house being blown away. Yeah, and as I ran crying, this was in a dream, I see this same person that was in my job, and she tells me, of course your house will blow away. It was not built on a good foundation. Okay, so they're pointing out to things that already make me feel a certain type of way. I'm thinking, of course, my marriage has to break because we started it in a particular way. So no strong foundation. Yeah, I'm thinking because we entered this with iniquity, it was We got a child out of wedlock. We never married until later. So when she talks about a foundation and I see my house being blown away, I'm like, okay, it makes sense. Yeah. And at that time, I'm so open to anything happening. Okay. So I'm like, okay, this marriage will certainly fall because it was not built on a firm foundation. Okay. But God was going to do a new thing, like he promises in Isaiah 54:11, I will build you on a new foundation. Okay. And because of obedience, right? And that is why I'm saying when you fall to your knees, fall to his feet. Yeah, God is so merciful. When you fall, humble, turn to him as he wants his people to. Okay. So yeah, Second Chronicles 7:14, as I was sharing before, you have to do that thing. Turn to him and he will turn to you. Okay. Yeah, so when you fall, no matter how bad things look, don't fight for yourself. When your marriage falls, don't fight for yourself to prove your innocence, yeah, and to prove that the other person is worse, you know, or is bad, and people shouldn't listen to him, yeah. Even if people side with you, God is a witness of you too. And I think I've said it before, whatever is happening to you is happening to your spouse too. Okay, so no temptation has come, you know, that is not affecting the other person too. When both of you are attacked, this thing first tests the one who is stronger. When they are able, the one who is weak, when they bring down the weak person, now they bring all the forces, yeah, to fight the stronger person. So you will fall. No matter how strong you are, you will fall. Okay? When the devil destroys your marriage and it comes down, so much so that you do not know, as a woman, you no longer have your husband as a cover, the children don't have their dad, and you think that you're the one who has remained strong, standing, you're the one, you know, you're the one who is always doing the right thing. No, you will fall. You're about to have a strong fall. Okay, the only way you will not fall is when these things happen and you hide under God's cover. Okay, there's provision for that. As far as I know, there's so much, but then Isaiah 54, he says he will take you back. Okay, God doesn't intend for any marriage to fall, but when it does fall, he will take you back. Okay, he will take care of that business, he will take care of that problem. So a lot of revelation. So this person was intimating that I didn't have a firm foundation, you know, under my house. So actually I see it being blown as the whole unit. Yeah, and as I look, when she says that, I look and yeah, it is flat. I cannot see how deep the foundation goes. So I was like, okay, you know, this is over. I apologize if, yeah, dry lips and all that. Anyway, so revelation after relocation, this thing will happen. And I'm saying this because, guys, I don't want you to be relocated abroad and think that it is all about you. Yeah, you will suffer if you think it's about you. You will suffer if your family hasn't been broken off these chains. God will show you where the chains will break, especially upon you, so that you can find ease to break others free. But it is not what you think. Yeah, we have to be advised by God. Yeah, so that was the last thing I saw, my house being blown. And I was shown that it was because of there was no foundation. Yeah, but again, I went to my knees and I was just so humble. And I remember as I was going to the next place, which was Orlando, now to join my husband, I was thinking we are going there for just a month. Yeah, there was more revelation there. And it is also where, under this safety, under this canopy, under this cover, God asked me to pray for the enemies that I knew. Yeah, so even those I thought, oh, God has punished, they have sinned, God asked me to pray for them and pray for forgiveness. Yeah, so I was able to forgive. The journey is not what you think. Yeah, it is so deep and so and when God tells you to forgive, to pray for forgiveness, even against those people who have afflicted you in your face, do it, because you're breaking so many chains in the family. Yeah, your life is not your own. God is using you for a particular thing, and the success of it will depend on your obedience. Yeah. So when God says to forgive, to pray and forgive, He's not even asking you to just forgive. Pray. Yeah, because forgiveness for some people does not come easy. You know. I'm sorry, I've lost my voice. So you pray, He will give you the strength that you need. Yeah. And then God might relocate you to different places, but it also depends on what you're fighting. But at the end of it all, after all these revelations, after your obedience to pray and just be consecrated before Him, yeah, uh, to just be allow Him to make you a new vessel. Do you know what He will do? He will deliver you. Okay, so He will deliver you, and that will still not be the end. Yeah, so deliverance will come in different stages and different places. Wherever He takes you, He will reveal and then deliver, reveal and then deliver. And sometimes you'll be tempted to think this is about me. God is fighting for me, or God has fought for me. Now I can rest, now I can go on. Yeah, but until He shows you everything about this family. And that is why I started with saying there will be patterns in your family that you need to observe. Yeah, there is evil that you will need to observe. So when you look back and see what your family is about, and look around and see where you are at, just know this is one family that until God shows you everything that He has done and tells you that this is the end, the chains are broken, and there are times I was shown that chains are broken, but He didn't tell me that it was over until now. Yeah. And when He was showing me, is when He was showing me now other more powerful witches that were in my journey, that were hindering my journey, that caused me to fall in so many ways, that caused me to fail also in so many ways. They attacked me then. Yeah. And He was showing me like some people He sent, to help me, but because of their heart condition and what they were involved in, yeah, they would send witchcraft. As much as they deliver you, yeah, they send you witchcraft. So it is scary, but whenever you go to a place where you are seeking salvation and you find that God is not allowing you to stay there, even after a thing has happened, yeah. The other day I was giving an example of how the Israelites went to Egypt, and in that period where they were slaves, Moses was born. Moses is raised in the palace, yeah, and then later they chased him away, yeah, because he killed someone. Okay, he killed one of their own. So this is to tell you, you're not our own. Yeah, we raised you, we gave you shelter, we gave you training, but you're not our own. When you kill, we excommunicate you, we throw you out. Yeah. So some people will be made to help you, but they will chase you out. Yeah. And sometimes when you go away, you go with some poison, right? They poison you in a way. Okay. We go out with an affliction. They afflict you. Let's call it an arrow. They send out an arrow. Yeah. And so wherever you go, even though you've gone, you've broken off them, you will never go back there. Yeah. In the same capacity. You may go in a different capacity, but they will send limitations after you. They will attack you. Yeah. But God will reveal. I don't know why in all those times I thought, oh, now I know everything. No, it was in this season that God was showing me the more powerful people that He used in our journey, but they would afflict us. Yeah. Because they could, because of what they were operating under. But like He always says, do not fear. Okay, that was the very first thing that God ever told me when He started me on this spiritual battle. And I dare say it had already started, but when He was revealing, because He will cause you to see clarity of a thing. Yeah, that was the first thing He ever said to me. Isaiah 41:10, and I think up to 12. Okay, 41:10-12, where He says He will fight your enemies too, as well as uphold you with His righteous right hand. Yeah. So when you're in this kind of families, there's no resting. There's no rest as you know it. Yeah. You will have to fight your battles. And even though sometimes you may check out and say that you don't want to do this anymore, you find that, it will be sent to your kids. Yeah. So be determined to fight. Yeah. And another thing I've realized is that even if you don't do it, you will still do it. It is like a second skin. There's no escaping. You will not do it in power. You will not do it in revelation, but you will still break those chains. Yeah. You just won't have the authority to speak about such matters, because you don't know what went on, but you were used. You know, regardless, you were used as a vessel. Yeah. So I think that's a good place to start, to stop. But I just see one more thing. I thought deliverance is where it stops at. Yeah. But at the end of this thing, there will be total restoration for that generation. So God will bring you to a thing where you'll be totally restored. Yeah. So God has restored you. He has given you provision for certain seasons, certain points of the journey. But there will come a point where after you have learned these things, after you have humbled again, yeah, He will show you that all things are working for good. Yeah. You will step out of your embarrassment for failure. You step out of embarrassment for the things you have done, said, or even thought about. Yeah. You will confess these things to one and another. This confession doesn't just start in the secret places, doesn't just stop there. Yeah. You confess to friends, to loved ones. You'll confess things that you've done against, one another. Yeah. And you will get forgiveness for that. But you will notice this thing is even going further, deeper. And as you do that, you will find that you're getting restoration. So nothing is for free, yeah? You don't get anything for free. The deeper you go, the deeper the deliverance, the revelation, the deliverance, and also the restoration. You will think that you have earned it, but really it wasn't you earning it, yeah? It was God cleansing your bloodline. So, guys, allow me to stop there. Thank you guys for the ones who stayed up to the end. I see one person there. Sometimes I close it and I see it was like 10 people. But thank you so much, guys, for listening. I don't take it for granted. Yeah, you really have no idea. I really don't take it for granted, even when someone, even just one person watches, listens, comments, just to show that they understand what I was talking about. I don't take it for granted, because I was one who never used to think that I am hard, yeah, because the way I spoke, yeah, would be covered with a lot of things, yeah. There would be so many veils surrounding me, so I don't take it for granted that somebody is able to penetrate and be able to say something, yeah. Some of you, I'm shown even before I meet you that God will send you, yeah, to break through that veil. It's a lot, man, but we'll talk about these things when the time is right. So thank you. God bless you. God keep you and cover you, make His face shine upon you and give you peace, because it's very important. You will see. When you get that peace, you will see. And for those who enjoy you, see you on the next one.